your mind, it's time to redefine. You're the spiritual quest, leaving the rest behind. Ungovernable, breaking through the status quo. We untamable, watch our spirit elevating consciousness. Yeah, we on the rise. No system can hold us down. We're reaching new heights, breaking through the chains, breaking through the wall. Ungovernable energy, watch the empire fall. Watching in the norm, shedding no beliefs, seeking truth and purpose, finding
It's Monday. This is weird.
I know, it's totally weird.
Happy Monday, I guess. It's not very happy. Yeah, we had a very interesting weekend.
We had a great weekend.
It was a fantastic weekend.
Awesome.
That's why we weren't live last night. In fact, we had to reschedule our guest. We have an awesome guest that we're going to bring on later on this month, Drew, and we had to reschedule with him. So sorry, Drew. We will get you back on here in a couple of weeks. But for those of you who are unfamiliar with the show, I'm Matt.
You have to say, do you know where you are?
Oh, this is Ungovernable, baby. Right? Like, you'll get the inside joke in a second. I am Matt. This is Jocelyn. This is Ungovernable. We talk about stuff to help open our minds and help us fend off the people that would close our minds. In fact, we have an absolutely fantastic subject to talk about tonight. Actually, two subjects to talk about in terms of, opening your mind and your perspective and kind of seeing the world from a different standpoint so that people can't take advantage of you by narrowing that field of view, so to speak. So we always spilled a bottle of wine or beer or something. We weren't able to make it to Double Tap.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Because of our
festivities. We did get dry farm wines.
We did get a shipment of dry farm wines in. So with that, the wine this evening is from Chile. Hold on if I can get this for... I know, it's like the label is like super light, so the glare is just killing me. It's Longavi.
Are you sure that's what you say?
Longavi?
Longavi.
Longavi. Could be Longavi. Maybe it's related to Mondavi. I don't know, in Chile. But so anyway, it's a Longavi, and it is... The varietal is Pais. P-A-I-S is the varietal.
Pie.
I don't know. I don't speak
We should
Chilean.
learn this stuff before we come on.
I don't speak Chilean. It's so much more interesting not knowing it, and then we can just fumble around, right?
Yeah.
Give us a thumbs up if you like us fumbling around wine names. But so anyway, it's from the Sicaño Interior.
How do you say Sicaño?
I don't know. It's from
Chicano?
Chile. I would imagine it's some kind of flourish on the word. And then the Bio Valley.
Well, that sounds very
manipulated. I hope not.
I didn't know what to say because I know they don't manipulate their stuff.
I hope it's natural.
Okay.
All right, you do the honors here. All right, and I will start talking about why we were not here.
Oh yeah.
Last night. Okay, so this weekend was awesome. We had two of our daughters, actually all of our kids are in School of Rock.
They all go to School of Rock, which is like the best.
They're learning musical instruments in a non-boring way. Okay?
Yeah.
And so they get to perform and be parts of bands and stuff like that. And so this weekend, our youngest, she was in Rock 101. So they sang like a bunch of different types of rock songs, which were absolutely fantastic. Which one was your favorite?
Cherry Bomb.
Cherry Bomb?
Cherry Bomb.
Which I never even
knew.
I don't think I'd ever heard it before.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it was
Hello,
pretty good.
Daddy.
Yeah.
Hello, Mom.
Yeah. I'm your Cherry Bomb.
But she's 7. She's so cute.
She is 7, and she was like one of the front persons front ladies
she
of
was
the
good.
band.
Everyone was dressed in pink and wings and costumes and.
Yeah, we didn't get the memo about that it being
apparently
costume day.
she didn't want us to know. She went in all black with her Doc Marten boots with rainbow shoelaces.
Representing emo goth culture. She did absolutely fantastic. In fact, it being costume day, one of the drummers had like a monkey costume on, and the only thing that I could think of was Bloodhound Gang.
Yeah, no.
You don't know who Bloodhound Gang is? Do it like we do on the Discovery Channel.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah, it's Bloodhound Gang. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's doggy outfits or monkey outfits or doggy outfits.
I don't know.
The kid was wearing a monkey outfit, but I think they wear doggy outfits on it. But so anyway, so that was fantastic. And then
that was all on Saturday.
That was Saturday. And then our eldest had two bands. What was your favorite of the two?
Guns N'
I'm pretty
Roses.
sure. Yeah.
She did a Guns N' Roses Motley Crue band.
Yeah.
And she closed out the show with Welcome to the Jungle.
Yes.
As a singer.
Actually, she had the last two songs, and she did the two almost most iconic Guns N' Roses songs.
Paradise City.
Paradise City.
Sweet Child of Mine is
Welcome to the Jungle.
She didn't do that, but
yeah, Sweet Child of Mine needs a little work. But they did absolutely fantastic.
They did so good. If you have kids who like music or
She
you
killed
want
it.
them to like music, School of Rock is awesome like that.
Yeah.
And I know they have locations like everywhere. They're really, I mean, because they learn the instrument and then they get to do it real time in a band. And none of the teachers take, well, in the 101 for like the younger kids, there's usually one teacher in the band.
Yeah.
But the teen bands, they do it all themselves.
Yeah.
And they do it every season. They do another band, which is like really cool.
There's
I
always
wish I did that.
There's always a nice, if you get a School of Rock that's big enough, there's typically a nice cross section
of bands and stuff.
of different types of bands. So this upcoming cycle, we still have two performances, by the way, this next weekend for our eldest. She's got the same bands again for a second time, so they get to practice for a week and then do it again. But upcoming youngest is going to be in Rock 101 again because you're there until you graduate, and then our eldest is going to be in
2010s.
the 2010s.
2010. Is it 2010s?
Whatever.
2010s. I don't even know. Once we got out of the 90s.
Yeah, the aught 10s.
It's all 10 years ago. I just graduated 10, 15 years ago.
I'm pulling out my inner boomer. We're in the aught 10s, people. So they're going to do the best of the 2010s. But I was worried at first that it was going to be like pop rocky kind of stuff. But
no, she's not going to do pop rock.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like alt and, off the beaten path.
Our son is doing AC/DC. He's never done a band.
I'm actually I'm looking forward to that. For those who are about to rock. Like, that's going to be fun. Yeah. And he's playing bass on it, so he'll get to like groove.
Be fun. So so that's why we weren't here.
Yeah.
We forgot we had the performances.
Okay, so thank you for helping us read our diary to you people.
Our date book.
Let's get down to brass tacks. I think we are going to piss off literally 100% of you. Okay, so like this is half of the show is going to be, they're going to be like these Twinkie fairy arty people. The hell with them. We came here to talk about Trump. And then the other half of the people that are like, they love the art, they love the stuff. When we talk about the Trump trial, they're gonna be like, he's a criminal. He should fucking die and go to hell. Like, if they even believe
now
in that.
That's you just totally stereotyped people.
I did.
Like 100%.
Yeah, but we're gonna get into it because I'm pretty sure I'm not far off with most people.
No.
I think I just hit at least 70% of people.
I have more faith in humanity.
I think you're naive, but all right, we'll get to it. So we're probably going to piss you off somewhere along the line. And that's no different than any other show that we have, because every single episode we typically piss someone off because we are pushing the boundaries of, this is Alex Jones with less research.
You said you weren't going to mention Alex Jones today. He said he wasn't going to do it.
We don't have printed out articles and binders and
all over the front.
FOIA requests and specialists from the CIA talking insider stuff. We don't have that, but we do push the issue, and we
just chat.
Love to talk about everything and anything.
Try to figure out the answers.
I mean, hell, in a couple of weeks, we got someone coming on talking about Sasquatch and Bigfoot.
Oh my God.
portals.
And
So
apparently the Pine Barrens in New Jersey is like the Bermuda Triangle of portals for supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it. I can't wait to hear it.
I don't hang out there. I don't hang out there.
I've never been there. I don't want to really
I'm pretty sure that story got floated by the mafia in New Jersey, and they were like, "Yeah, it's haunted. There's portals. People disappear there. Yeah. Oh,
whatever." I've heard it a few times now.
Yeah.
Bermuda Triangle of New Jersey.
All right, we're gonna find out. So so we talk about literally anything. So I'm gonna give you the option. What would you like to talk about first? This episode we're gonna talk about.
We don't have to talk long about
soul art journey and kind of where you're at and your experience with that.
Right.
And then we don't want to necessarily do like 101. I would rather talk about your experience.
Yeah.
And then the other part of it is obviously the big news from this past week was the Trump conviction.
Well,
so
Matt has gone on a soul art journey too.
I have. Yeah. Yes.
You can talk to your experience.
I can. What led you to soul art?
Oh, I've known about it for a long time.
Okay.
But I was an expressive art therapist for so many years.
Yeah.
And in that, I love the work, right? And I knew how important the arts and healing are. Mm-hmm. And then, but it didn't click yet for me. Yeah. Because as a therapist, there's so many rules and lines and boundaries. Yeah. And like, I think what happens is you start not being as human as you should be in the healing process with somebody.
So you're saying mechanical. You end up becoming mechanical.
I don't want to say it like that. But also as a therapist, you can't say to someone, I don't think you should be on that medication. You can't, you're not, it's not there for you. So you have to kind of work around and do all these things. And it didn't fit right. So, but then all this stuff happened and I knew about soul art then, but I just finished school and I was like, I just finished my master's. I'm not doing that. So,
you were like,
fuck that.
It's been a lot of work. Stepping aside.
I know what body mapping is. I'm all good, you know, because I used to use body mapping with sexual trauma in teenage girls.
Okay.
So I used to do it all the time.
Yeah.
But then for soul art, I picked it up again after my parents died.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had finished doing the soul. I was doing the soul shamanism, and I finished the Akashic records and yoga nidra, and I was doing all the human design. And then I just was looking for something else, and I picked it up and started the certifications.
Okay. Yeah.
So I just this week finished my second certification.
There's like what 4 stages?
There's 4. There's four in total.
And go through them.
There's a body mapping.
Body.
Energy mapping.
Energy.
I'm in the middle of creation.
And
then shaman.
Shaman level.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So what's your experience been with it so far? I feel like I get to interview my wife.
I know, right?
This is fun.
It's weird because I'm next to you.
Oh shit. Do we need like
another screen?
Do we need like a dueling perspectives, like just looking at each other?
No, it's
is this like an interrogation?
No, but it's been amazing.
What's your experience been with the soul?
Yeah, you're Alex Jones again. How fun would it be to do a soul art journey with Alex Jones?
Could
we get that to happen?
I think if you weren't insane before the soul art journey, you would be after.
I'd be sane. I'd be sane.
No, it would be like a double negative towards a positive. But then if you were a positive, there might be some negative.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's been amazing. Have you seen a difference in me since I started it?
Oh, big time.
It's just, when you lose your parents, or at least for me, I can't say it for you, but for me, I lost myself and then I had to redefine myself and I didn't know who I was. And soul art has been amazing in helping me figure out who I am, what I want to do, how to access my energy, how to change it, how to transform it, and how to go for and follow my flow. Like today, he didn't know I was doing a soul art. Did you know I was doing a soul art?
I knew you were doing something upstairs, but I was
He came up and he called me Betty Crocker.
Wait, what?
Did you?
No.
What did you come up and call me? You called me something.
No, she was not in the kitchen. And no,
what did you call me?
Traditional gender roles is not necessarily a hard and fast thing in our house. No, you were upstairs and you were working on the sewing machine.
Sewing machine, yeah.
And I walked in, and your process involves things all over the place.
Yeah.
And so I walk in the room and I go, "What in the Betsy Ross is going on here?"
Oh, stop.
And you're like, I'm doing
Ross.
soul art. And I was like, okay. And I turn around and I close the door.
Well, I don't sew. I'm awful at sewing. Like never ask me to mend anything.
You managed though.
Well, I sewed it. I was doing a soul art journey about my inner family.
Yeah.
And I was sewing, and it was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
But I suck at sewing, and it's so frustrating. So I ended up like pulling and tearing some apart, and then I wore it, and I felt so warrior-esque, having like just ripped what I did, but I didn't rip the stuff I sewed. I ripped the other part. And then I just
you went like 1980s ripped Jordache jeans on it,
kind of, and then I just wore a strapless bra, and I made the dress a skirt. And then I was like, oh my God! All of a sudden, without thinking, I just picked up the paintbrush and was painting my body and my face. And then I was like, I needed to take pictures, and it was like warrior. You liked
there's some. I gotta be honest with you all. I'm not sharing the pictures with you. There were some good pictures. There was some fire behind your eyes.
Yeah, I was working on it. I was working on my inner warrior.
You were feeling yourself, as the kids say.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was so well. You know what? I've come to understand so much about my family, my parents, and who I came from, and my ancestors, and how I am as a mother. No, soul art's awesome. It's awesome.
I would have to say that my experience with it was extremely positive. And I've been going through somewhat of a journey, not the same journey that you're going through, but I've been going through a similar journey, having been alongside of you, losing your parents, and then also losing my father in short order after that. And what I liked about it was a approachable process and medium to be able to explore kind of how like what emotions were coming up associated with certain things. I like that it's really purpose driven. So
it's intention driven.
Yeah, like there's
the whole thing starts with every journey that you take in soul art starts with intention.
So many of these things that I would consider more hippy dippy than this are just kind of like go wherever you want, right? And it does have an element of that, but it's
contained.
Well, it's not. I would call it directed.
It's directed.
Yes,
I like that.
So it's directed towards an intention, and so you're supposed to get to at least some kind of guiding intention with the process, which is absolutely fantastic because it's not just like it doesn't just leave you reeling. It's not like you like you can do whatever kind of artwork you want.
You don't have to be an artist because he's not an artist.
I'm most definitely not an artist.
But you had fun. You were like all up in there.
I smeared paint all over the place, and I crumpled stuff up, and I got violent at one point, and then there was just it was a little bit of a process, and you just kind of like go with it however you're feeling. Like there's not supposed to be some kind of intended
you're not going in a museum
picture, right? Like this is the antithesis of arts and crafts, right? It's not like here's your 5 pieces and put it together, it makes a snowman. Like it's not that, right? And so, but I really liked it because at the end you kind of take that moment to sit back and be like, okay, so what this?
Just happened?
Yeah, like what?
Yeah, and my favorite part of it is when you're done with your piece or your expression, is that you take time to be like, what happened during that? Like, how did I feel doing that? Like, did I get a random call? Did I have a random thought? Like, did I screw up totally and run with it, or did I let it get me down?
Yeah.
Like, that's my favorite part of Insights.
Yeah, or who or what was I thinking about while I was going through this? Like, it gives you so much to work with, and
a spirit action.
You know what it also kind of keyed me into is that there's a lot of people out there, time and time again. There are people out there that tell you that they have the solution for you, right? It seems to be that's the sales process for literally everything.
Business, spirituality, parenting,
health,
all of these things that are so personal.
Money and finances, like, all this stuff. It's just like, follow my 5-step plan and I'll get you to the point where you're happy and healthy and you don't have to worry about anything anymore. And it's complete bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's not the way it works. For maybe a handful of people, that's the way it works, but they don't care. Once they have your money, they have your money, right? Like it's no takesies backsies. So I love the fact that it's not rote. Like there is somewhat of a structure to it.
It's just stages.
But where you take it isn't rote or
and all of
no
your
one's going, you're
insight-
doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Like it's
all
safe.
of your insights coming from you. It's not none of it came from me. I mean,
No.
I reflect to people what I hear, sense, or see, but then your spirit action insights come from you. It's like comes from a connection to your soul, to your. I liked how you said it, highest aligned energy.
Yeah, it's remember, I'm someone who isn't necessarily kind of like attached to any kind of formal religion. And so people will, say that they're trying to live their life in a more godly way or in a more, kind of spiritual way that's in line with their belief system. My belief system is very kind of eclectic in terms of where it comes from. But from that standpoint, it definitely feels like there is, like I said, like there's a direction that you're pulled in, and that direction it feels like a better direction.
Yeah.
It just feels like a good place, and you can call it whatever you want, a better version of yourself, a more balanced version of yourself, whatever you want to say about it. But it's a fantastic process, and what I also like about it is almost guaranteed every person is going to get something different out of the process.
Yeah.
There's never going to be any two that are alike. And that's also beautiful because it gets away from that one size fits all,
and you're creating your own spirit action in so it's like a journey. So the minute you get into like place of creating that soul art journey with somebody, like that's when your energy goes into it, like any shaman journey, and it follows the journey until you finish your spirit action. Yeah, which can be like a week later, 2 weeks later.
I was looking. Did you put any of your soul art up on Facebook?
Oh, I don't know. I
was looking to just see if I couldn't find any.
I have.
I should have taken some photos and shared them. I definitely have pictures of the kids from over the weekend.
Yeah.
I'm just looking back to see whether or not Jocelyn shared any
I don't know.
photos.
Who knows?
They're probably up on Instagram. But so
they're all on Instagram.
Yeah, which
I don't do them all. They're older ones. I sit with them first.
Yeah.
But
they take all kinds of different forms. I mean, the
I've done poetry and videos.
Yep.
And artwork and clay.
That's what was also
today. I did face painting.
That's what was interesting. Was today I walked upstairs and you were sewing. And
like, what? Because he knows I don't sew.
And I'm like, wait a minute.
Something's going on.
Yeah. But then I kind of saw what she was working on, and I'm like, oh, like, I understand. So yeah, I think all in all, it's been absolutely fantastic. So you're finishing up stage 2 right now? Are you talking about?
No, I finished certification, the 2, and I'm doing the creation. The creation journey is all about what you're going to create in this life.
Okay.
Like, what's the next big creation you're creating?
Yeah.
Creation you're creating. So I need to get through this fast, but not too fast, because I'm really feeling the momentum of it.
Oh, okay.
I feel like when I don't go from less like piece to piece, I feel like I start to lose momentum.
Yeah.
Because then, when we have a life like we do, things get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like bringing kids everywhere and doing everything that we do.
Yeah. It's, I got to say that she's been through a lot to get to where she's at, and there's a lot more to do. And so I can understand your inspiration. You're more than halfway, so you're headed downhill now. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
I am more than halfway.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
So I can totally understand that inspiration. All right. Anything else you want to say about soul art?
No. I'm going to start doing it differently. I'm going to start adding soul art into, like, I'm doing my first women's circle this Thursday, and I'm bringing soul art into that.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to try to do like a yoga nidra, like weaving in pieces of soul art.
Yeah.
But I haven't done it yet. So
regardless of whether or not you're local to New Jersey, go to jocelynbates.net and find out more, because she's got a whole bunch. You're super proud. You just revamped the website and everything like that.
I did it myself.
She
I
did it
paid
herself.
someone to do my freaking website
Originally.
and it sucked.
Yeah.
And then I redid the whole thing. I finally figured out how to get her name off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this one here is not.
I'm not computer
She's not a
savvy.
Luddite, but she's also not like a web page design.
No,
kind of
no, I'm
person.
not at all.
But
So take it with a grain of salt.
it's impressive what you were able to accomplish.
That's
It's
where
really
my
good.
soul art is.
Yeah.
It's all on my website.
Wait, hold on. I looked and I didn't think I saw that much.
You didn't? I put 2 or 3.
Where? Like right
You
on
got to
this?
go down.
front-
Oh, maybe it's in the about me. Oh, that's a piece of my soul
Oh
art.
yeah. Here, let me put the share up because this is one of the most beautiful pieces I think you've done. So
I don't know what to do with it though. It's so fun.
this piece right here, it's tough. I don't know if I can get this in the. How do I do this? It's Control minus to zoom out. Yeah,
Oh,
there
yeah.
you go. So right here on the left side, this was absolutely beautiful. This was a body mapping that you.
That
did,
was a
right?
body map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is all like charcoal.
It's just black and white charcoal.
Unbelievable.
I really had fun. It's like, I'd say, what, 7 feet long? So it doesn't
yeah.
look big,
It's-
but it's like 7 feet long.
It's huge. Like it's full length.
I had so much fun with that.
Yeah, that came out awesome. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that you had up
That's
here.
a piece of my
This
soul
was
art.
this was was this the whole piece?
Yes. Well, there's a little bit below it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This was another piece that you had done. I'm just
Oh,
trying
I
to
don't
see.
know where else I put it. I
You
put
should
it
totally put
somewhere
a
else.
gallery up.
Oh, that's another piece of
This
my
is
soul
another
art.
piece of soul. This was interesting.
I don't know why that's in the middle of that.
So
right
you
there.
oh yeah, you're gonna have
I
to.
have to change that. Talk about my website. Let me just cover up what people say about me.
Yeah, this was fun because it was like this was totally all kinds of different stuff.
That was
it
like clay, and
yarn and sticks
Procreate
and clay and
paint.
digital art, and you ran outside and covered your hand in red paint / blood and put it in front of the tree.
Do you know what that one's called?
That's got to be a heart right
It's
there.
the heart conduit,
Yeah,
or the
heart
feeling
conduit.
conduit, because
Okay.
that was my brand. That's my brand, my essence.
I like it.
Yeah,
like
but
it, I like
you can't see all the little faces on my little,
Oh yeah, they're super
There's little
itty-bitty.
funny, fun faces on it,
All
on
right.
all the little clay pieces.
Okay, for those of you who stuck around for the shit show, the
Oh,
shit show
stop!
is about to begin.
We don't have. You have more specific judgments than I do. I'm open to like just having a conversation.
Well, no, I think you know the direction I'll head with this one. But so anyway, to lay the framework here, all right, this is basically what we're talking about. So unless you've been living under a rock like the last couple of weeks, you know that this basically happened recently, all right? So, and just to
Yeah.
show you that we're, not anti
It's
whatever.
CNN.
So this is the CNN site, so can't get mad at me. Donald Trump found guilty of all 34 charges in hush money trial. Essentially, what it boils down to is he had a relationship. There's varying degrees of account as to whether or not it was consensual or not between himself and Stormy Daniels. This was about to come out before the 2016 election. He didn't want it to, so he paid her 130 grand.
Did she have to pay him back after
No,
after all this?
come on,
I
buddy.
mean, if it was like hush money,
Come on,
did
buddy.
you not have to pay her back? I mean,
That money's long gone.
at least you should have to pay it back.
That money's long gone.
I mean, she took it to be all hush hush, right?
Why? He
What?
cut her a check.
Yes. Well, I'm just saying.
He was stupid enough to cut her a check. Cut her a check. She gone. That money gone. So he cuts her a check, and then the crux of the trial has to do with whether or not that money should have had to be reported as a campaign expense.
Well, you know my whole feelings on that.
And I guess the thought process being, if it was reported as a campaign expense, then it would have been publicized, and it might have influenced voters during the
Are you
2016
still
election.
sharing this?
Yes,
Are
yeah.
people reading it?
Well, I don't know.
Oh.
They could be. I don't know.
Oh,
I mean, they
okay.
can always Google it. But
Yes.
anyway, I should hope they know by this point that this has happened. So he's found guilty of 34 counts of felony.
What are each of those 34 counts?
Every single one of them is the same. It's all basically falsifying business records.
So there were
Okay.
34 different business records that he falsified.
Correct. And so there's also a question as to whether or not. So first of all, it's not completely definitive within case law as to whether or not this actually should have been a campaign finance issue.
Okay.
Second of all, there's no real case law that establishes whether or not falsifying business records is something that should be connected to campaign finance law.
Okay.
All right. Because there's campaign finance records and then there's business records, and they're supposed to be held separately or whatever. So there's a lot of questions about it.
But these days, people's business is being a politician.
Politics.
Poli-sci.
If you're successful, politics is good business.
What I'm saying is, like, how can you keep that separate if you went to college for that?
I mean,
could you argue that in the court?
No.
Well, I went to college for it. So.
No, I mean, you could argue anything if you have enough money, but
well, that's why a lot of politicians are lawyers.
It's like the scene in The Big Short where he's like, Mr. Burry, this is Wall Street. If you're gonna give us your money, we're gonna take it. I mean, so all right. I want to kind of hear your take on this. Like,
well, yeah,
first.
I have said my take a million times.
Yeah, what is that?
I cannot believe that the amount of shit that Trump is. I'm not even a Trump person, but I can't believe that people don't blatantly see that this is just it's without even they've thrown him under the bus so much, and in my view, if you're gonna do it to him, do it to every fucking. I'll give my tax money to give it to get every politician out, because every politician out there, maybe a few, maybe Thomas Massey doesn't do it. I know he probably does, though. He's a politician. They should all be. This was $130,000.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, to me, in the guise of what politicians do with money, is ridiculous. And it's like. So
let me play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Right? This is not my opinion, but I'm playing devil's advocate. Right. This isn't the only case against him. Yeah. So there's multiple other cases.
All very similar.
Some of them are criminal cases. Some of them are more.
This guy has had cases. He's been like.
Some of them are civil. And so, if I'm someone who's on the left,
okay,
I'm like, where there's smoke,
this is
there's
just
fire.
The beginning. What happened?
No, not just the beginning. Like I've always thought he's Hitler. He does bad shit. He's obviously a criminal, and now he's getting his comeuppance. No one's above the law.
Yeah, but I still go back to if we're going to do it to one politician, you better do it to everyone. I have no problem with getting every politician.
I don't care. I don't care. I like the other politicians. I don't like him.
Oh, I can't
hate
even.
him.
Yeah, no.
He deserves it.
That to me is just when cognitive dissonance. Is that what the word is?
Yeah,
cognitive
it could be that. It could be a number of other things. But.
Yeah, when people just see blindly in one direction and just have made their mind up. I feel like that's what happened with the COVID vaccines.
It happens quite often with a lot of things where people come to a conclusion, whether it be seated in their brain or they believe they came to it themselves, and then nothing you say can sway them, because then it would cause them to have to essentially question every moment of their life from that point until now.
The other thing I would say is there's so much hoopla around this. What is the government doing behind our backs? And the first thing I think of is the whole the pandemic treaty going on and all that stuff going on. Like, this is like the show, right? It's like the fucking circus. And so in my mind, I'm like, what's going on in Geneva? Why are you looking at me like
I'm letting you rip. Go ahead.
No, are you going to tell me I'm stupid?
No. Not at all. You're not wrong. I
would say, what the hell else is going on? Because this is meaningless to me. To me, $130,000 mean every politician is crooked, and but what are they doing to take away our rights?
Do you have anything more to say on that?
I do think that Trump is looking very old. I feel like all what they've done
Oh, he's definitely looking
to
haggard.
him has absolutely aged him
haggard.
beyond.
Yeah.
And the people who are throwing Trump under the bus for this, I feel like you have to go back and look at all the Hunter Biden and what the CIA and everybody did for Hunter Biden with the laptop and stuff. Like all that stuff came out, and they said that they lied.
I'm gonna blow your fucking mind right now.
Why?
Anyone who is saying that Trump is being unfairly targeted because of politics right now, and then the justice system is being basically manipulated to take him out as a political target, they should be rooting for Hunter Biden to beat his charges. Because what is Hunter Biden charged with?
Oh,
Possession of a firearm.
Yeah.
Being under the influence of a controlled substance, which is a body rights issue.
Right.
And then tax evasion. He's the best fucking Republican I've ever heard in my entire life. The guy smokes crack, sleeps with hookers, has guns, and doesn't pay his taxes. This is the freest fucking guy on the face of the planet.
Yeah,
it's good being Hunter Biden.
But I mean, like, if
you're pro freedom, you should be pro Hunter Biden. You should be out in the front and be like,
stop,
fuck the system. Hunter Biden is not guilty, right?
Well, he's probably all good if Biden gets in again.
Well, I mean, I don't even think it matters one way or the other. I don't think it matters.
But I don't see what gets me is that people get so crazy on one side, but they close their eyes to the other. So like for us, we don't give a shit about either of them. So we just kind of watch the circus. But like people who are very invested in one side or the other, they have to be able to see the same shit's going on the other side. And why are we all talking about this when there's the fucking Geneva Convention going on? Is it the Geneva Convention? And the fucking pandemic treaty that's going to take all our rights away if Biden's going to sign on to that. I'm on a tangent.
There's a convention. There's a meeting that's happening in Geneva. The Geneva Convention happened after World War II.
Oh, yeah.
It's about informed consent and not experimenting on people.
It's a meeting for the pandemic treaty.
Yeah.
But like this is something that we should hardly anybody knows about it. Yeah. People who watch us, of course, know about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, probably. Or if you watch Dell, or if you watch
Dell,
whatever.
If you follow Dr. McCullough, he talks a lot about
hold on. Put a pin in that.
I'm sorry.
Let's get to that in a second. No, that's fine. I'm not
it's just hoopla
against talking about that. But I think we need to continue on this, keep pulling at this thread with the Trump thing. Okay?
Okay, so you said to me,
do you want to get super fucking nerdy?
I'm not really a nerdy person.
Like philosophy.
Go ahead, do it.
Nerdy.
Do it.
Okay. So I presented this idea to you in the past.
You have?
But we haven't really laid it out. Okay. So have you heard of the allegory of the cave?
The allegory. I think you brought this up the other day, but I wasn't listening.
Okay. So
I was listening.
We're going to go over it right now. All right. So Plato writes about the allegory of the cave. All right. And so this is a simplistic depiction of this kind of hypothetical, this how should I put it? This, symbolism that Plato gives to this scenario that tries to outline essentially the 4 levels of what I would call kind of like, not just intelligence, but also kind of like enlightenment. All right. So your perspective.
Are you saying the American people are strapped and chained?
Just wait. Hold on. Wait. Okay. So, and this is a broader, like there's a bunch of different allegories. I think there's like 3 or 4 of them, that the big ones that Plato advanced to try and get people to understand the various levels of thought. Okay. Yes. This, amongst other things, is a reason why someone like Michael Malice would say that a lot of people lack agency, or they lack actual personhood, because they haven't expanded beyond the first level of this. Okay, so let's walk through it. That sounds very dangerous to be like people
the women
aren't that
holding
way,
the puppets.
Well, whatever. I mean, that's just the artist's depiction.
Wow.
So this is not like I don't think Plato ever like drew it out. I think this is just someone's interpretation. But so, and in fact, this comes from Wikipedia, so take that for what it is. All right, but the truth of it is that this does embody most of what's in the allegory. All right, so Plato in his writing says, imagine that there's a cave that is almost pitch black, and that over here on the left-hand side, there are a ton of people that are essentially strapped to like a post or a wall, right? And they can't move their heads, and they can't get up and move away. And so they're forced.
Like Clockwork Orange.
Are you sure it's Clockwork Orange? Were you talking about like the re-education?
Yeah.
Hold on, let's get there in a minute. So anyway, so these people are strapped in place. They can't move their heads and look away. They're forced to look at this wall, right? That's their entire existence. Well, behind them is another wall, a brick wall, that basically hides people that are walking along with these figures, basically puppets or, kind of like symbols. and
Shadow
there's a
puppets.
fire behind that casts a shadow onto the wall. And so the people that are sitting here that are affixed to the one place, their entire reality
is in front of them, not behind.
is the shadows of the representations of real things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's like it's not even 1 degree removed from reality. It's like 2 degrees removed from reality.
Yeah, because it's
Okay?
they don't actually see the things. They
Yeah.
only see how it's manipulated in a shadow,
So-
which can be very manipulated.
The shadow that you see can be manipulated by the players behind the wall.
Yeah.
All right. Now, if you were to get up, so like, hold on, before I get to that point, let me explain the rest of it. So you can get out of the cave, like every so often, someone escapes the matrix, so to speak, right? And they get out of the cave. In fact, some people, once in a blue moon, are able to escape their chains and get up and walk around the inside of the cave and see things for what they are, right? And then of that smaller subset, an even smaller subset of people actually find their way out of the cave, into the sunlight, into reality. And they then get to gaze upon the actual things that are represented by the puppets that the people hold in the cave.
Yeah.
And then the highest form of enlightenment is finally seeing the sun and knowing that everything, all of it, comes from the sun.
Okay.
Right. And the sun is like this place of creation.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, it's like a creation journey.
Yeah, kind of.
Mhm.
All right. And so
A hero's journey.
this is supposed to represent kind of the 4 stages of where people are at with their personhood almost and their enlightenment. Okay.
Where do you think Trump is?
Uh,
I mean, he's
again, you have to remember that the vast majority of people are on the left-hand side of this figure.
right.
Okay. A much smaller subset either break free from that or are the people behind the wall.
The women.
And then a much smaller
Enslaved
subset
to
of that
hold puppets.
are the ones that actually make their way out into the sun. And there's all kinds of other dynamics too that I'll play on a couple of them. All right.
Okay.
But so in essence, most people see this second or third order representation of reality, and that is their reality.
It's all they've known.
That's life.
Yeah.
That's the, like, when people say you have to escape the matrix, like, that's what they're talking about, right?
Can I say what it makes me think of?
What?
This thing makes me think of what they say about movies. You know how they say that movies actually bring out ideas before they're going to imprint them in the world.
Mhm.
So like things like, like The Matrix.
Yeah.
Right. Like a movie like that coming out how many years ago. And now it has all these weird kind of, you get the little chills when you watch it. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Like the movie, like it's almost like they're playing the movie, but that's what the puppets are doing. They're playing the movie
Yes.
of the movements.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's almost, and they say that about like superhero movies too.
Yeah.
So
So
they say that about some of the villains and stuff. And
it's a known quantity that government organizations have paid money to places like Hollywood. They paid money
you
to
should take this down for a minute. Let's see.
well, no, we're still
Oh,
talking
we're
about
still
this,
talking about it.
but
Oh.
they paid money to, I can make it like slightly smaller
Yeah,
so
make it
people
a
can
little
see
smaller.
our-
Yeah,
our
there we go.
big heads like that.
No, we don't need our big.
Oh, all right.
It's a
Um,
little box.
but so anyway, so it's a known quantity that organizations like the CIA have paid money to Hollywood to implant messaging,
ideas.
telegraphing of certain ideas to the
Yes.
people to get them acclimated to certain things.
Yes.
Okay. It was also known that
That's what it reminds me of.
this has happened throughout history. It's happened through most empires, whether it be when plays were a big thing back in, like Middle Ages in England, Victorian England.
Do you think that's where 1984 came
Books
from, or
and
do you
things like
think
that.
that was like literally like a
So this is
channeled thing?
So this is the nature of this. So the person who
Because some of
stands up,
those people who are sitting there chained up
Yeah.
have to have a sense or feel, right? Like, or a human sense
No.
something is
No. This plays out in real life. The people that are chained up, that don't have the freedom to move about the cave, that is their whole existence.
But they still have a soul.
No, that doesn't matter in Plato's piece, because remember what we talk about all the time. If this is your entire existence, to entertain that it is false means that you would have to, you basically have nothing left.
Yeah.
Or you fear that you have nothing left, right? Like if that's the entire definition of your world is these moving depictions of things, these second or third order depictions of things on a wall.
Mm-hmm.
The moment, and I'll tell you why that's the case once we kind of go through the dynamic here. But to entertain that that's false would just obliterate your life.
Well, that's like the Matrix.
Like your existence would be forfeit.
Right.
Right. Yeah, but here's the difference. All right. So you're forcing my hand here, but
What?
let's go through the progression of how someone stands up and then works their way out of the cave. So they stand up from being within the chains. They're able to peer behind the wall, see the people, see the figures, see the fire, and immediately they're in disbelief.
Yeah.
Because everything they've known is these figures on the wall, right? It takes time for them to be able to look around and see these things and really devise the fact
And understand
that what they've seen all along has just been an echo or a mimic or a representation of what's happening behind the wall.
Okay.
Okay. So then of that small subset, another small subset, and Plato actually makes this distinction, needs to be dragged out of the cave. They don't voluntarily walk. Okay. So this is where like things like COVID and that kind of thing come into play. COVID and, things like World War II and things like all these
When,
different
like the disasters,
huge disastrous
really
catastrophic things. They can free people from the chains, and some people, when they get freed from the chains, not only do they see behind the wall, they also get dragged out into the light.
Yeah.
Okay. And so if you think about it, if you've been sitting in a cave in darkness for your entire life and you get dragged into the light, the first thing that happens is you can barely see anything.
Right.
You're blinded.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of people who get out there
keep one patch over one eye. They just switch it.
That's
how they do
when
it.
they go below decks.
Yeah.
Yes. That's very accurate.
Yeah. That's what they do.
We're on a philosophical pirate journey. So when they first get out into the light, they can't see, right? And so it takes them time to reorient themselves. The first things that they can see basic forms and things like that outside.
So it
right?
looks like the shadows, but outside.
Somewhat, they see shadows. They can only look at the shadow once they get outside. So it's almost kind of like this reversion. But eventually they become acclimated, and then they can actually see the thing that's making the shadow, and it's the real thing, not the puppet that's the representation inside the cave.
That had no dimension.
And then eventually, if they're lucky enough, they then look upward to see this place of creation.
And then they see how the shadow's made.
So now, let me ask you a hypothetical. Someone is gifted or finds their way out into the world,
Mm-hmm.
is able to see the forms and things like that, maybe or maybe not. They focus on the sun. What happens when they go back into the cave?
They can't see again unless they have an eye patch.
Plato never
not seen a pirate movie.
Plato never contemplated the eye patch. Dude, we just fucking dunked on Plato. Plato, you didn't think about the eye patch scenario.
No, you would be blind again.
Okay, yeah. So you would be back into the darkness, so you couldn't really see again. But once you get acclimated, then what happens? What would you, if you were that person that was freed from the chains? You could see behind the wall.
Do you want the red pill or the blue pill?
You get outside, you see the light and everything like that, right? What would be the first thing once you get back inside? You get reacclimated. What would be the
somebody
first thing
who
that
has been sitting there and looking at shadow puppets their entire life and being fed and doesn't know anything about how to take care of themselves, they might get scared about being outside. They might get hungry. They might get thirsty. They might totally be freaked out, right? So they might go back.
Well, regardless of whether or not they go back, you can't unsee what you see.
Okay. Do you tell everybody? I would tell everybody.
You'd run in
I'd
and
be
be
like, you guys are gonna get out of here.
You'd be like,
yeah,
motherfucker. We're like in a cave, and there's light outside, and actual trees, and actual animals, and people.
But if
right?
they've been chained like that, they don't have any muscles.
So
I don't know how they're gonna do anything.
Typically, what happens is,
but that's interesting because critical thought is a muscle. So if you take it out of this place of being chained and just intellectually chained, you don't have the muscles of critical thought, right?
You don't, but at least then you would be given the opportunity to exercise them.
Yeah,
right? But say you even exercise them a little bit.
Is there somebody who's running this place?
Hold on, no, that's not based on the algorithm. This is just the balance, right? This is the balance, right?
Okay.
And so the person who runs back into the cave to maintain the balance, right? They run back into the cave and they go, yo, there's all this shit outside. And you would not believe the things that we've been seeing up on the wall actually aren't the real things. And actually the things that are making the things you're seeing, those aren't the real things either. There's all this stuff outside. It's amazing. It's like Waterworld. There's horses and they run on land, and there's actually dry land, and there's all this stuff. You know what the people that are chained up do? They go, dude, shut up. This is what we know. This is our life.
Yeah, because they haven't experienced it.
And then the person keeps going, but wait, but there's these things, and you're missing out on this huge life, and it's fucking amazing, right? And they go, dude, shut up. We're trying to watch the stuff that's on the wall. And then you go, no, you don't get it. And then they go, no, you don't get it. You're a crazy fucker. We love this place. This is our whole life. And then they kill the guy.
They kill the guy?
Yes. Okay.
Who kills the guy?
The people that are chained
up. How do they kill a guy?
Kill the guy.
The guy's free.
Huh?
The guy's free.
Dude, he comes back and he tries to save them. And they're like, no, they don't want to be saved. They will literally.
Then the guy needs to walk away.
They will literally kill him. Okay? No, the guy doesn't walk away. The guy wants to save other people.
Yeah.
But the people don't want to be saved. Okay? Yeah. Now, I don't know if Plato ever contemplates this, but I don't know if the dude comes back in and does anything to those motherfuckers behind the wall.
Like, why didn't you say anything?
Now, if I asked you to, like, who are the different types of people in our society that are in these different places within this construct? I
mean, I would think that general America, like, well, are we talking America or the world? Are we talking like countries and stuff? Or are we just talking like our culture?
Just in general.
Okay. I would say.
I think a lot of cultures, if they're westernized, they're very similar.
Yeah. I would say, well, I mean, because some different. I would say that majority population is probably between media, between advertising, between chemicals, between public school. All of that is like chained.
Okay.
And it might even be teachers there too in the same way, right? The people who are in the system, working the system, who don't necessarily understand the bigger stuff behind it.
Yeah, so there are people that are chained that reinforce the system.
Yeah.
And then there are also people in the cave that are free that are walking with the figurines.
I consider those guys to be more of the traditional politicians.
Yeah, so the people that are walking behind the wall would be kind of the influencers or influence peddlers, okay? So media, politicians, businesses when they're aligned with.
So wait, where is the Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates of this picture?
They would be right here.
Yeah, because they can't be out. They can't be seeing the light.
They also have a vested interest in not allowing anyone to get outside the cave.
Yeah.
Right.
So they like hold that line.
I mean, some of them might have gotten outside of the cave and they've been blinded and run back in and decided that they would rather be the boss of the cave than I
mean, you could argue that like the people like Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates were the final four guy, just because like they saw like what could be, and then they just felt they had not necessarily. You could see that sun, and it's not that everyone who sees that sun is going to feel it in the same way. They might see it and be like, I have to hold it to myself, keep people back, or you know what I'm saying? Like you could argue that.
I think the thought process is the people that are like the Bill Gateses and the Klaus Schwabs and the media elite and that kind of stuff, the ones holding the figurines, they feel like a god, so they don't have to go outside and see the sun. They're making the show.
But they could be more of a god if they had been gotten out to the sun.
No, they don't think that way. In fact, if they went out and saw the sun, they would become less. They would now know the sun was God and they were not.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
And so
they might have gotten to the third guy and come back to the. Now we're just,
they might have looked outside and they would be like, "That's too bright. I'm gonna come back. I'll be the boss in here." Right?
Yeah.
So this dynamic plays out, and again, it's not a perfect depiction of reality or anything like that, but it's a thought process.
No, but I mean, you got to look at all the different puppets that are played for us. I mean, between like media, advertising, pharmaceutical companies, vaccine, everything that goes on in public school, taxes, all of it is all part of that circus.
It's either the functionality is either creating the shadows on the wall, or it is reinforcing the place at which you're at that causes you to focus on the shadows on the wall, right? And to prove the point of like the guy that came back in, he's like, hey, everyone, there's light outside, and they kill him. Okay, just look at what happened during COVID.
Oh, you're talking about Trump, is what you're saying?
Well, no, hold on, I haven't even come to that yet.
Oh, okay.
But just look at what happened in Nazi Germany. Look at what happened in the lead up to Nazi Germany in the Weimar Republic. Look at what happened with COVID. Look at what happened in a lot of communist states. You know, the
people
Red
that
Guard
spoke
and
out,
like
you mean?
no. So if anyone dared buck the system even a little bit, the people that were beholden to the system, that were fixated upon the shadows, they would throw their neighbors under the bus and basically kill it. Like, dude, don't spoil it for everyone else. Like the movie will stop, right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't want that to happen, right?
What was the guy on Dell? What did he call it?
You're talking about mass formation psychosis?
Mass formation? Is that what it is?
No, I mean, it's mass formation psychosis. That theory is based off of kind of like moments in time, like periods.
Yeah.
Okay. This is more so an overall allegory about just, how life plays out, right?
Yeah.
And people at different stages of, quote unquote, enlightenment, if you want to call it that. Okay. I would call it there. And there's actually, if you look through the Wikipedia article, there's like an idea of this kind of line, this reference line of, so it goes A through E, right? And the beginning is essentially, the first half is taken as representing the visible world. And then the second half of the line is representing kind of like the intelligible world, where you have to have inference and vision and be open to it and that kind of thing, right? And so the people in the cave are very literal. Like, everything that's played out in front of them, they take literally.
Yeah, accept
right?
it.
So, like, for instance, like, he was convicted of a crime. He must be guilty. He's an awful person. He should go to jail. I don't like him. He shouldn't be the president. Okay.
Right. Gosh, it just sounds a little
people on the other side. Hunter Biden has lived a life of luxury, and he committed these crimes, and he should have to abide by the crimes, by the laws that all of us have to abide by, and he shouldn't be given special. And so he should be found guilty of these things, right? It's a very black and white view of things, and it completely misses the intelligible portion of life.
Yeah.
It has to do with a very kind of rote, scripted, viewpoint of life. Okay.
It just, whenever we talk politics and watching what's going on and watching actually Trump's reaction to everything, I'm like, oh, it just makes me want to watch Idiocracy.
Well,
like, it really does. It makes me want to watch Idiocracy.
The president that we need right now is Hector Camacho. That's who we need.
Like, I just want to watch. It's not like,
he will solve all of the world's problems.
We do not sit on one side or the other, so it's like, it's like you're watching the circus.
Yeah.
And that's and like Idiocracy is that weird black and white world.
So in fact, in Rome, right, like it's literally referred to as bread and circus, right? Give the people enough bread to eat to keep their bellies full. Yeah. And give them enough entertainment, and they will not rise up and overthrow the control system.
Well, they're going to have to hope that crickets fill people up.
Well, they'll I mean, whatever they can sell you on the shapes on the wall being correct and true, right. That's what people they'll sell you on in order to be able to control your vision. All right, so now let's relate this to the whole Trump thing.
Okay.
Right?
So picture of the 4 stages.
Yeah.
I got it.
So
still don't know why it was wondering.
Most people are watching the story play out on the wall.
Okay.
And for them, there's good guys and bad guys. And depending on what their persuasion is, some people think Trump is the good guy and he's being taken advantage of. Right. And he's the savior and he's going to do all these great things. And then some people think Trump is the bad guy and he's a Nazi, he's Hitler, and he deserves to go to prison.
People really say that about him?
Yes, yeah. There's people that literally believe
he's a Nazi.
Yeah. Yeah, they believe
literally.
They believe he's not. There's people that believe all kinds of asinine shit. Like, they think what was the one I saw the other day? There's people think that Kyle Rittenhouse, remember the kid in
who shot the guy?
Wisconsin, shot the pedophile and the wife beater, and they were trying to attack him because he was there protecting one gas station or used car dealership or whatever. They think those people were black because it had to do with the whole BLM thing. But it was like a bunch of white dudes that shot.
That were happening.
They were like white trash guys.
They didn't even pay attention.
But everyone thinks they were black people. So he's a huge racist.
So there's actually people say he's a Nazi?
And it's
maybe I'm so
it's
far
many
out.
Such cases on both sides. All right. So here's the thing you gotta remember, regardless of what your viewpoint is on Trump or Biden or this or that, you're looking at shadows on the wall. You're not seeing reality. You're seeing the show. Okay. So
every American should call for every politician to be fucking put under a microscope. But then I guess no one would come out of their chains.
you know my position. My position is they should just stop paying attention.
Well,
right?
who
Like
is
just
paying?
look away, right?
Who is paying? Or is it just the citizens of New York paying for these trials, or is it like federal?
I think this is it's a state court.
So
I think
New York citizens are the ones paying for it.
I believe so. Yeah,
Oh.
they're paying for the trial expenses. I know that much. But they would pay anyway, regardless. I mean, it's not like there's not extra money. But then again, next year the budget will grow, so technically there's extra money. But anyway, that's beside the point. So here's what people need to resolve, and what I think people should take away from this entire thing. For those people that say that the Justice Department or the justice process in the United States is broken because they see people say like they see black people that get higher on average jail sentences, and they get incarcerated at higher rates, and they have less access to high quality defense attorneys, and the justice system is designed just to find people guilty, not to find the truth, and it's not impartial and it's not blind, right? Those people, right? And then the Trump people who are like, this is a miscarriage of justice, and the justice system is being contorted, and it's being leveraged against someone who's an enemy, and this, that, and the other thing. Y'all are the same fucking people, and you need to talk. Because you're both
they're
true.
Both in the chains. Is that what you're saying?
They're all right next to each other.
Yeah.
You're seeing the visions on the wall.
Yeah.
Right? And regardless of whether you're a Trump person, you're a non-Trump person, you're a Biden person,
People get so caught up in the labels, right?
Okay.
They get so caught up in the labels.
And you get caught up in a binary world. Like, this is the other element here. The pictures on the wall make you think that there's a binary world. Either what you're seeing is right or wrong, left or right, good or bad, right? When truthfully, the world is not binary in any stretch of the imagination, and that the people that would control you want you to think that the world is binary, and they want to give you the two binaries. They want to tell you,
give you this to two.
either you're for this thing or you're against it, right? Like, are you pro-Israel or pro-Palestine? And when you're like, I'm pro people not getting killed, they're like, that's not an option. It is too a fucking option. Like, you could be against people being killed,
Well,
right? Like,
I had this talk with you.
about what?
And I had said when all this
Am I in trouble
Israel
now?
and Palestine came out,
Yeah.
I said we should, like, people have to just stop paying taxes because it's paying for all of this on both sides. It's just awful.
Bro, that would be the fastest place
But
to
then you
stop
said that would
free
be
people dying
But
all
then
over
you
the
were
country,
like,
all over the
no,
world.
weren't you saying no to that?
When did I say no to that?
I don't know. You were like, that's not the campaign that has to happen.
Well, no, I there's a difference between what you can actually pitch to people and what people will buy,
Dude,
right?
if everyone stopped paying taxes and refused
Yeah,
to pay them, and then
Yeah.
we couldn't pay for these wars
yeah.
and killing people and putting all this stuff out there,
So,
God, we would take our power back, man.
so you've been outside the cave.
What?
You've been outside the cave. You saw the outside.
Wow.
You saw that there's something
I'm in the sun,
beyond
baby.
the pictures. Okay. But when you come back into the cave and you're like, hey, people,
Yeah,
let's just
people
not
don't
pay
do
our
it.
taxes.
They don't like that.
And people are like, get the fuck out of here.
Well, they
There's
get very comfortable.
I'm
People get
watching
very
the
comfortable.
shadows.
They have 401ks
Well, yeah,
and,
the,
you know,
the 401ks are yet
vacation time.
another puppet that's
Yeah.
being held over the top of the wall.
They have insurance, health insurance that kills you.
Right? There's
I mean, people
Debt-
are going to think I'm crazy to say
debt
that.
keeps you locked into the system. There's all kinds of things that keep you locked into the system, right? And they're all those images that
Yeah.
they're actually the puppets that create the image that then you fixate on.
That
right?
makes me think about let me know if you guys have had this. Recently, I watched I get the emails from Patch, and I don't watch the news, so I hear certain news I need.
Oh, are we going to talk about long grass? Or are you going to talk about something else? Let's talk about the long grass after this.
Oh,
Yeah.
fucking crazy.
But anyway, finish your thought first.
Fuck, forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh.
What was I saying?
I don't know. I want to talk about some long grass.
No, I was gonna say something.
No.
What was I saying?
Patch emails.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. It's a election year, so all this shit is like pumped up.
Hmm.
And I swear to you, for the last year though, I have Patch. It's the only way I get my news, like around locally. And Every day there's a body found. There's people killed in a fire. It's all Jersey news. People killed in a fire, sex crimes. I mean, look what's happened in the homeschool community. There's some crazy shit going on. And it's like every day there's like 5 new things going on.
Dude, I've got a story we could talk about, but it will totally get us kicked off YouTube like within 3 seconds of us talking about it. So I'm not even going to bring it up. But
what?
Dave Smith just did a debate against Chris Cuomo on Patrick Bet-David's show. Okay. And I think it was like 3 hours or 4 hours, something. It was like crazy. Chris Cuomo was all pro-vaccine, pro-lockdown, all this other stuff.
Now he's not.
Now all of a sudden he changed his tune because he got side effects from the
injured.
vaccine. He's taking he's taking horse paste.
Yeah,
people.
he was so everybody. You know what? They fucking
this
took
is not
ivermectin off.
YouTube. If you take this video down because I say this, fuck you, because this is truth. Chris Cuomo right now is taking horse paste. Okay, the guy, one of the people that basically derided Joe Rogan and Trump and everyone else about ivermectin. He's taking that shit right now, okay? And so he debated Dave Smith, all right? I'm not going to go through and rehash the entire debate. You should go definitely check it out. It's absolutely fantastic, worth your time. Dave Smith brought up one amazing freaking thing, and people are going to misconstrue it because of how he brought it up, but fuck it. If you're looking at the visions on the wall, go ahead. He basically said, he was like, the level of decadence that we have now in our society is a hallmark of end stage empire, meaning
I feel like that's been for the last 5 years.
No, it is. Well, yeah, but you got to remember that
10 years.
The end stage of an empire isn't a year or 2 years. It could be 20,
I'm
30,
going to
40
go
years,
back to
right?
2027.
but right, like
paradigm shift.
he points out all of these different things, and yeah, part of it has to do with Pride Month and naked people shaking their butts in front of little kids on a parade route, right? Like there's being proud of who you are, and then there's being debaucherous. That's debaucherous, okay? There's also debauchery on the other end of things when it comes to like certain things that happen on the right in terms of largesse and money and finance and inflation and all this other stuff, right? And all the while people are telling you that like this is all in your best interest, and don't worry, we're working for you and we're fighting for you. And it's all like largesse and debauchery.
Well, here's the thing, and to keep there's that debaucherous, but like when I think of it, and I think of how the puppets play on the wall, I think of how stressed the fuck everybody is because we have to work so much. We have to be out all this time. We're kept from the kids in a lot of ways because it has to be 2 parents working for the most part.
Yeah.
And it's like we are not able to actually live life.
You're
like
describing
we are like
you're describing the chains.
Yeah, and
the chains that hold the people.
Because if you need to pay for car insurance, life insurance, health insurance, food, mortgage, home insurance, taxes, you got to pay for your kids to go to college. You got to pay for their extracurricular stuff. You got to, everything. It's really freaking insane. Like they just came out with a new number for New Jersey that the average family just to live on a low medium income in New Jersey is $160,000 a year.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. That's fucking insane. I remember when in like 2002 or 3, I was starting to be an ExpressVR therapist, and I was so excited to get $34,000 a year. I was like, oh my God, I'm rich. Like I'm rich,
and then you got your paycheck and you're like,
fuck.
Social Security. I'm not old. Medicare? What the hell? Wait, no, you used to be a Democrat back then. You were like, I'm taking care of people.
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't even think about it. But you think we're so stressed. And then on top of it, right?
Yeah.
Our kids are on fucking social media all day long. There's fucking chemicals in our food. The grocery prices are insane. The gas is going.
Turning them frogs gay.
Yeah. The other day, our thing cost $100 to fill the tank, right? What is that? We have? An Odyssey. Our Odyssey had like $100 to fill the tank with gas. And so like all of it adds up. And then on top of it, you go to fucking Morristown Patch to see what your local news is. You're like, oh, you want to see a dog get adopted,
Yeah.
And it's fucking 3 people died in a fire and another body found. And it's like,
so let's
stressful.
Let's freaking crap.
We get addicted to the stress.
Let's crap on no, I actually wouldn't say that. Let's let's crap on another sacred cow here. Would you say that
This is not Trump talk.
the
by the way.
popularity that is true? We can talk about Geneva if you want. Would you say that the popularity of people going on OnlyFans has to do with sexual empowerment, or it has to do with people being in a destitute place and feeling like they have to go on
I
OnlyFans?
know 3 people on OnlyFans who use it. Every one of them is a major financial person for their family, and they were pushed there by their husband. And they do it because they don't have any other option, because they have their kids at home, or they're trying to live a certain lifestyle, and they're talked into it in a sense by their husbands. But then it's also like women, I think, with OnlyFans, it's and different sites like that, it's a weird thing. Like you develop almost like a connection with, because some people come onto your site, right? So you develop these relationships, and women have a natural tendency to like listen to other people. Yeah. And so it becomes this weird, I don't want to let someone down. Mm-hmm. And I tried really hard, and
it becomes a form
holding
of
the boundaries. Usury. Yeah. And so I know 3 mothers right now who do it. And one of them, I think, is probably very happy with it, but for the most part, like, I think it's out of need. It was not out of, like, they always wanted to be an OnlyFans.
Feminism would tell you that it's a place of empowerment, embracing your female sexuality.
Do you know what's empowering? To rip your dress and to face paint and body paint and then take pictures. It's very empowering. Sure.
Not for OnlyFans.
But I wasn't. No, I was covered.
Yeah.
I was covered.
What I would say is this is the hallmark of most empires right before they fall.
I think sex therapists are super cool.
Yeah, but
I don't think that's like, I think like there's worlds of sex work that are actually beautiful.
You just described 0.1% of sex.
No, what I'm saying is, though, there are facets of sex work that work with couples that like actually really help people.
When inflation rises and when currencies fail, there's typically a huge uptick in what I would call careers of desperation. Prostitution and pornography is one of them. Crime, drug distribution and trade, and drug use. All of these things go higher because people are desperate and they look to places where they can actually make money to make up the stagger. And it turns out that the places that you can make money to make up the stagger are not standard old dusty, crusty type of jobs. They are taboo things that you basically have to skirt or break the law to do. At the very least, some people would argue that you're breaking moral law or whatever. Allow those people to have that conversation. I'm not going to have that conversation today. But
would writing a book of erotica be considered that?
So this is what's interesting, because I
think that's fun.
Typically, what happens is, even in instances where you could make the argument that there was like healthy erotica or art or pornography, during times where there is financial stress and the empire is falling, those things become more extreme. They become more violent. They become more deviant.
You mean the fans of the erotica author?
Well, yeah.
Or you're saying the erotica written?
Well, think about it this way. Some of this has to do with economics, doesn't necessarily have to do with kind of like moral decision making or anything like that, right? It's not necessarily a lack of God. It's in many cases a lack of money. Okay. So
wait, are you making? Can I ask you a question? Are you getting ready to bring Trump back in with Stormy Daniels?
No.
Oh.
No. I'm done talking about a guy who had evangelical Christians herald as the second coming, and he's had 3 wives and an illicit affair with a porn actress and stuff.
Well, yeah, you see where I thought you were going. I thought you were bringing it back in.
The shadows y'all are watching are just. I'm done. Okay.
You know what? So would you not 100% love to see the entire Senate and House and all the politicians be brought up in front of like people? How can we not have a debate?
I will just take them closing Washington D.C. down, bulldozing it, and turning it into a parking lot. Like that's
or maybe a playground.
That's it. No, I don't even think. I think the bad juju that exists in that place should not be
Should
experienced.
bring
by
the
people.
people up from New Orleans.
But so back to the point of kind of like that moral, whatever, the decay that happens, right? Cultural decay
Before
it's
the fall of an empire.
the decadence is because, say you are an erotic novel writer, okay, or erotic article writer, right? You probably have a little bit of competition, but all of a sudden,
more and more
once
people are writing.
the economics become more dire, more people write. And they're willing to go a place that you weren't willing to go before, that you don't think is
And then people
artistic.
don't think you're.
And then you
on
stop
there
selling
anymore.
as much and they sell more. So then you have to basically up your game. And so what happens is, and most of these things also result in things like social contagion, right? Which is a way in which someone has a deviancy, it then catches root with the other people around them.
This the other day,
right?
yeah.
So there's social contagion. And then on top of that, they're all basically addiction-based behaviors too. So pornography, for instance, someone who is a regular consumer of pornography, typically their taste doesn't stay the same over time. The more they indulge and the worse the rest of their life is outside of that, the more extreme their tastes get. So,
it starts small,
and
is what you're saying.
It begins as something that might be, artistic or whatever, but a lot of people, specifically men, end up going through that progression of it becoming very deviant.
I took a class
extreme.
in San Francisco. It's a very famous class, at least in the early 2000s and 90s. It was a huge class. It was called Variations in Human Sexuality, and it was at San Francisco State University. Famous class, and I got to take it. And it basically, you go into this class and they bring panels of people in. So every week you have a different panel. So you have 1 week we had the dominatrix come in.
Yeah.
They were fucking awesome, and the stories they had, and they were awesome. I have to say, like, I would want to be a friend with the dominatrix.
So I have something to say about that. But all right, go ahead.
So the dominatrix, they brought in everybody. At the end, the class had somebody who was female and pretended to be she was a female, but was a man, but was in the final class, came out as somebody who was now this is like, you have to remember, this is like 1999. So this was before the whole transsexual movement. And so then on the last class, he was on the panel. Yeah. Right. Or I forget how it was, but whatever. It was like, oh my God, you were sitting next to me the whole class, right? Like, it was like one of those things. The one class, so every class had a panel, and a panel of like 4, 5, 6, 7 people. And they would like dominatrix. They had like 7 dominatrix there. And then in the middle of the class, they had the pedophilia class. They even had a panel for bestiality. Okay. They had a panel of people who would talk about bestiality. Yeah. Pedophilia.
Were they focused on trying to destigmatize bestiality?
No, not at that time.
Okay.
Pedophilia had nobody. They weren't allowed to bring anyone in. It was like it was a big thing. Like, we had to have this like hush talk about it. I have to say at the time, it was like, the thinking has changed around it in a weird way. Like, oh, that might be a sexuality, which I don't believe. But it was like the strangest panel that I'd ever experienced, because it was, I guess they talked to someone who was a pedophile and then brought like their conversation they had and read it word for word in the class. But shit, that stuff is like crazy. And then, me, I've been crazy because in my community, we had, can I even say that? We can say it because it was news, right?
I would de-identify, just say that there was like an event.
There was a situation where someone, we know their husband was
caught with material.
Arrested for, pedophilia material. And
allegedly, because they haven't been convicted.
Oh yeah, allegedly.
But,
and it's been on like, and you said to me, I have to stop reading about it because it's like not healthy. Make me go down.
So
go down.
All of those things increase in frequency and severity when economic times get tough. Actually, I wouldn't even say when economic times get tough. In fact, it's not a hallmark of poverty. It's a hallmark of a civilization that had it good and is trying to hold on to it.
Yeah.
Okay. So think, this actually happened in after World War I. This happened in Weimar Germany, which eventually caused the rise of Adolf Hitler, which is interesting. Okay?
I know that story.
So Berlin was a hotbed for this kind of stuff, and including the inclusion of children, which was absolutely appalling. But when you think of it from the standpoint of there were people there that, you know, if they didn't sell their kids, they wouldn't eat or whatever. And so the question is, do you stand on your, you know, moral ground and protect your kids and die starving, or do you sell them into? So it became normalized that people would sell their children into this type of act, right? And so we are seeing many of the hallmarks of end stage empire right now.
Do you think there's more pedophilia than there ever was?
Yes. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Because one, it's to a certain extent.
Well, I think we definitely sexualize kids like way too early. Like the sexual ed starting at kindergarten is.
Well, no, there's various ways in which it's become normalized in the culture. I mean, it's gotten to the point where you have people openly talking about destigmatizing this type of behavior. This is not a behavior that needs to be destigmatized. It needs to be at the least sequestered, if not eradicated. You cannot have children can't consent, and the damage that's done to a child in one of these instances is irreparable for the rest of their life. You're basically destroying a person for their entire life before they even get to an age of consent, right? Which, by the way, we can talk about age of consent too, because there's all kinds of other stuff out there where I think we give children way too early of an age of consent with a lot of things. Like their brains aren't fully formed until
they're not ready. Well, I don't know any kid at 18 who's prepared to go to a war.
24. 24 is the earliest that I think most like neuropsychologists would tell you that children's brains fully form into what would be considered an adult brain that fully understands. And then again, this is on.
I don't know how we ever got to the place of sending 8. I mean, you know what? Kids were different.
So much of that culture has been normalized, and like we were talking about at the top of this, some of that gets normalized in the form of Hollywood and news and books and things like that. And so you end up getting a situation where eventually you get to the point where people are advocating for destigmatizing this as some kind of sexuality or something. Oof. It is deviant behavior. It's not like a normal.
I will never accept. Like I would never.
It's not like a. What even if it is normally occurring in nature, quote unquote. Okay, it should not be. Not only should it not be like, I'm not going to say it shouldn't be allowed, but I got to say, like, culturally, as a culture, you should be like, not fucking.
But you know what? It's really fucked up because like, every once in a while, like, I'll see what our littlest puts on YouTube or something, right? And it'll pass by, and it is what is that? ASMR? Is that what's it called?
Yeah,
ASMR. It's like because she likes to watch painting videos. Mm-hmm. She really enjoys watching painting, so they'll have like a painting video. And then, but in the background, they'll be telling a story that is so fucked up.
Yeah, it'll be like a girlfriend, boyfriend story.
And it'll be it's not good.
He broke up with me, so then I slept with his friend or something.
Yeah, and she's just getting mesmerized by the
and meanwhile, it's someone playing with like a kid's toy. And you're like
fucked up.
What the fuck?
And this stuff is like, and that is prevalent, like everywhere.
It's
in society.
Us trying to keep her away from that is
you can't.
It's like a full-time fucking job, right? But these are all hallmarks of end stage. So I got on this by talking about that debate that happened between Chris Cuomo and Dave Smith, and one of the excerpts I think is extremely powerful because he essentially talks about the fact that a lot of these behaviors are not normal. They are behaviors that are amplified and exacerbated by the times in which we live, and the times in which we live are not healthy. They're not good. They're not prosperous.
They're definitely
gluttonous. There's levels of gluttony. There's levels of drug and alcohol abuse. There's sexual dysfunction and malfunction and deviancy all over the place. And I mean, you don't want to hear me talk about it because I think you're sick and tired of it, or you think I'm like trolling dating sites or something. But I've been down the rabbit hole of the fact that Gen Zers aren't
like coupling people.
Like Gen Zers aren't coupling. They're not having children. There's no like traditional, like not even traditional family units. There's just not family units being formed, regardless of what it is. Same-sex parents, hetero parents, like just people don't want to have kids.
Do you know what? I'll tell you what, though, also, on my mom's groups,
Young-
everyone's looking to divorce in my age.
Well, I got to be honest with you. Going back to talk about like women's sexuality and like OnlyFans and that kind of stuff, the power of a woman is not being able to stand in front of someone and take their clothes off and get paid money. The power of a woman is to be able to inspire someone, typically a man, but inspire anyone, right, with your beauty and your charm and your presence. And then when you're asked to do something or told to do something, saying no. That is the power of a woman. There is literally women that aren't on OnlyFans, that are like on Instagram, stuff like that. They don't take like, booty pics or anything like that, but they have dudes that send them like $10,000 just to have a conversation with them. And then they're like, no, I'm not going to, but I'm keeping your money. That's the power of a fucking woman.
I don't think that's people my age.
No, all ages. All ages. Women have such power, and they've been fooled into thinking that their power is this mostly sexual power. The power of women, like we've talked about the sacred feminine, the sacred masculine, right? And the power of the sacred feminine is literally inspiration. It is literally the Helen of Troy idea, like the face that could launch 1,000 ships, right? Like that woman never had to take her I mean, like she slept with Paris or whatever, but she wouldn't have had to.
A good movie.
I mean, within the myth, she didn't have to sleep with anyone. Never had to take her clothes off. She was just literally so beautiful and captivating that people would have gone to war for her. And whether it actually happened or not, the allegory of that holds true. There are women that are more beautiful than, or would be held as more beautiful than any OnlyFans, the highest ranking OnlyFans person that's out there. They never took their clothes off. They never had a sex tape or anything like that, right? Like there are female actresses to this day that have never done a nude scene and are absolutely gorgeous. That's power.
Talking about
That's
sacred feminine and sacred masculine. Just being in soul art today, I was working on the inner mother and the inner father.
Mm-hmm.
And the inner mother is the nurturer, the abundant, the comfort, the watering of the garden. And the inner father is like integrity, honor,
foundation,
protection. Like, so what happens is you have also an inner sage. So you have your inner child who feels everything, right? They're supposed to, if your inner child's in a good place, they're supposed to, that kid who goes, you totally have bad breath. Or like, why does that person look that way? Like really out loud. I'm sure anybody who has kids knows exactly
that's our 7-year-old.
Some of the shit that comes out of her mouth. That is though the inner child.
Yeah.
They don't have a filter. They're pure, unfiltered feeling.
And they shouldn't.
Pure, unfiltered feeling.
Yeah. And
so the inner child, pure, unfiltered feeling goes to the inner sage. The inner sage hears it. A really functional inner sage hears it. And she goes, all right, I know what you need. And she either sends the inner child to the inner mother, who's the nurturing, abundant, you need to water your garden, be held. Or she sends him to the inner child to the inner father, who is all about, I'm going to fucking protect you. And I'm going to do what's right. I'm going to do what's honorable. And I'm going to do like this. So that's how they explain it in the creation journey.
Watch out. You're gonna
as a preview.
Watch out. You're going to get the radicalized feminists trying to say that you're trying to put women back in the kitchen and
no, I didn't say anything about
men
kitchens.
Back in the patriarchal place.
Listen, a baby comes out of the womb and he or she is sucking my tit, not yours.
No, I agree.
That's how it works.
Yeah. No, didn't you hear men can have babies now?
That is so fucked up.
You know the story
fucked up.
You know the story I saw today? The story I saw today was there are trans women that to simulate a period use tomato paste.
So like we've done this before. I have friends that are trans. I have friends that are all different sexualities, all different genders. And I totally sit with it's hard for me to, I think it has to be separated. I have no problem with anybody, right?
Yeah.
I have friends who are for Biden. I don't get it. I have friends who are for Trump. I don't get it. I have friends who are trans, like whatever. I love everyone. But with the whole, I think there has to be a separate label for trans women and women, because somebody who is a man who becomes a woman, dude, you never have your fucking period.
Yeah.
That shit defines a woman. Like, you can't understand how that defines a woman's life. The fear of pregnancy through 2.5 decades. You have a fucking vasectomy, and I still am freaked out, right? Am I right?
Bro, this shit's on the blockchain. It's forever.
Am I right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Like, there is something to being a woman that is part of it. Like, and I don't think you can simulate. You certainly can't simulate it with tomato paste.
No.
Like, you can't simulate it.
It becomes a surrogate.
It's a part of who you are.
Or not a surrogate experience. It becomes a substitution, like, in the experiential piece of it.
You may want that. You may want to feel that.
I would also say, like, this sounds extremely trite, but when you're poor, you don't have the luxury of being trans. Okay.
Oh, you can't. Well, no, I think governments are starting to pay for the.
Yeah, but
I mean, the military is paying for.
Yeah, but hold on. You've just argued a different point. If you're getting some kind of subsidy or something like that, that doesn't mean that now means you have the resources to be trans. Okay. Mm-hmm. In most cultures, especially cultures where they're dirt fucking poor, right? The only trans people are the ones that are like, you know, the lady boys that are out in Thailand that are working to try and make money, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of trans people aren't like trans by choice when they're poor, right? Now, that's not to say that it doesn't exist, but it means that, you know, I don't think it's just a single switch. Like, I'm not speaking from personal experience. I've never been through that experience my entire life. I can just tell you what my perception of it is. And it's that my perception is most of these things aren't necessarily black and white, cut and dry, this and that, right? And so I find it very hard to believe that there's just some kind of genetic switch that gets flipped, or experiential or evolutionary switch that gets flipped. That's like, you know, well, you have this genetics, but this is what you identify as or whatever. Like, you can't tell me that that's the case. It's not a this or that kind of situation.
No, I mean, if you come from the 90s, right? Like, we were talking about this the other day.
And that's not to say, remember that come from the 90s. That's not to say that there's not people that are intersex or hermaphroditic or trans or, you know, any one of a number of other different things. It is to say that painting every single person that thinks that they are that way with that same brush and operating as if that is just a fact is doing those people a disservice, because almost guaranteed, there are people that think they are trans and they're not, because they have something that happened in their past that is psychological trauma, maybe rape, that's not or something. Everybody. But that's the point. But
there is that there.
That's the point.
Yeah.
The point is, you can't just operate as if everyone is, you know, you just said it. You can't just operate as if every trans woman is a woman. We're just going to call them woman. We're going to send them to the women's prison. Like, there was just another fucking article today about a dude who was a serial rapist, and at his sentencing goes, "Oh, I identify as a woman." They put him in the women's prison and they raped a woman. Like, you can't live that world. To me, there's obviously a dividing line.
All of the trans people I know transitioned from male to female. Mm-hmm. I actually don't know anyone who transitioned. So for me, like, I understand in a way. We were talking about it the other day, because we were saying that I was talking to you about how girls, when they come, we were actually talking on the show, right? How girls, when they come of age, we're taught to hate our periods, and we're taught to, like, be disgusted and get on the pill right away, and how much of a horrendous thing it is.
I wonder what the statistics are there. I wonder if there's any difference between the dynamic where, so like, if I had to make an assumption without any pure data before, so just take this for what it is, I would assume that kids and teenagers, you'd be more likely to find more girls that become trans guys.
I think that's truth.
And then I think as adults, it would be more frequent to see men that become trans women.
Well, I mean, when you get your period, you're so like, listen, I don't care if anyone wants to change gender. Like, it doesn't matter to me, but just do it once your body is formed, just for your own health and well-being and safety.
Yeah.
Like, live. If you figure it out at 10, live for 7 or 8 years and really feel into it, because those are changes that really the hormones and stuff can really fuck you up before you're at an age where you can do that. But I love all people. But I do only know people who have transitioned female to male. I really don't know anyone who went the other way.
Yeah.
And
as adults,
just in general, do you know anyone who
male to female?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I don't.
I mean, a lot of my experience with it has been more on the kid side of it, and it's mostly young girls saying that they identify as boys.
Yes.
And so if I had to like take some kind of bet or like place some kind of wager on it, I would wager that it's more of a frequent occurrence that young girls identify as boys in youth, and that the majority of the gender affirming surgeries and transitions that happen in adulthood are probably weighted towards men transitioning to women.
And there are a lot of stories of people who transition in adulthood being happier in the long run.
Well, yeah,
but it's these kids who transition early.
But at least they've had
problems.
At least they've had that glide path for their brain to fully form.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And so, like, regardless of what's causing it, whether it's genetics or whether it's environment or a combination of the two, they're given that full glide path to then be able to kind of absorb and process all of that.
Yeah, and like really take it on
and make an informed decision. I seriously believe, like, a lot of people make fun of
maybe. Can I cut you off for a minute? I just had a thought and I'm going to forget.
No, but you're going to anyway.
Yeah. In the 90s, I was just talking about in the 90s before.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the gluttony of the end of an empire.
Yeah.
And if you look all of a sudden at like sexuality and gender and stuff, how many boxes have we created?
Yeah.
When I think of the 90s, I'm like, okay, you're either gay, lesbian, or bi. That's just it, right? And that's sexuality, not gender. I get it. But like you had kind of like it was just kind of an open field, right? And it was kind of like an in or out. You're either in or you're out.
So in the end of empires,
and now we're here at the end of empires, and we have how many colors on the flag?
Well, I mean, it depends on which flag you're looking at, but at the end of an empire, you typically see fragmentation of the population.
Yeah.
And there's various reasons for that, one of which is the control structure. So as things begin to break down, if you had people that were only within a certain couple of groups, it's very easy to find unity between those groups. So you need to fractionalize those groups into as many subgroups as possible so that they continue to war with each other.
Yes.
While the entire thing falls apart, right?
My Lord, all the lesbians, I feel for you. Right?
Well, I mean, and I mean, like, lots of groups have fallen. I don't want to say fallen victim to this, but basically had to live a worse off life because of this, right? But at the end of an empire, you see this. You see the fractioning of groups into all of these different subgroups, and it's done intentionally. It's done intentionally to cause infighting
within the group that would normally support
unity
and hold each other.
And consensus and common cultural. I'll call them, foundational principles.
Oh my God, you
can't
made
be
it back
agreed
to
upon.
The puppets.
Well, yes, yeah. I mean,
I can't believe we made it back around.
No, it's the puppets that get used are a means by which fragmenting the people that are staring at the visions on the wall. And interestingly enough, I don't think it's contemplated by Plato, but the thought process being that if everyone that was seated in a fixed position, if they all rebelled at once and stood up, they would be able to break their chains and the moors that hold them, and they would be able to free themselves. But they don't want to.
Well, there's no one holding them there. That's the thing. It's not like anyone would be like down.
There are chains that are holding them, but really, yes, correct. I mean, you could make the argument that the chains are in large part placed there by their own minds, right? It's essentially created by their own, whether it be complacency or just lack of desire to know the truth, or what Michael Malice would call non-personhood, right? For number of people. And so it's really unnerving because people will watch this video and they'll have visceral reactions, and most people won't hear what we've said. Like, well, that's the reality of this. Like, you yell into the void and you try and be as sensical and as rational as you possibly can, and what comes back at you is the most nonsensical, irrational, ridiculous shit. Because
God, it's like the rubber thing on the car in Idiocracy.
Which one?
The
big dildo on the car? What about it?
It's ridiculous.
Well, no, the entire movie is ridiculous. I mean, what's funny is that in a world where so much of this stuff is censored and parsed and that kind of stuff, there's still these works of art that
I don't think Idiocracy would have made it this day and age. How long ago was that made?
No, I mean, for a large part, like, if you become influential enough, they'll let you do anything, because also the lever pullers, they also understand that a little bit of truth has to leak through every once in a while, because you have to keep those people that do find their way outside the cave and then see things and come back into the cave. You have to keep them kind of occupied for a while. And then actually, if you give them enough information, when they come back, they sound absolutely fucking insane.
They call them conspiracy theorists.
Well, you call them whatever you want, right? And that's the other thing, is the rational voice typically gets drowned out by the irrational, sensationalistic voices all the time.
I mean, like, in the end, if you want to watch this in
motion, what other motherfuckers are you watching on YouTube right now that want to talk about the allegory of the cave and freaking the leverage justice system against literally everyone? Not just Trump, not just black people, not just, socioeconomic classes or trans or this or that. Literally, they will fucking leverage that shit against you if they see you as a threat. Who's fucking talking about that? No one's talking about it. Well, they're like, Trump is a devil. He should die.
We never got to the Geneva thing.
Oh, we could totally talk about that now.
Because if we're looking at
I didn't do my
trial.
I didn't do my pro MAGA like Trump's this guy. He's gonna fucking make America great again.
Is Jones still into Trump or no? Because I can't. All right. So first of all, I can't stand Trump.
He thinks he is like the answer to the globalists, and this is the reality of the situation. You want to know how much I don't like Trump? This is how much I don't like Trump. This is your option this election season. Okay, if Trump and Biden both make it to election day, your option is someone who wants to continue to run the corporate oligarchy, the actual fascist oligarchy that wants to steal as much of your shit and as much of your freedom and your autonomy as possible. That's your one option. Your other option is a guy who wants to battle that oligarchy by being an elected king and doing whatever he wants because he knows what's best for everyone else, because he's got all.
But he couldn't even.
He's got all the good
there.
ideas, the best ideas. He's got the best ones. Okay.
He couldn't even stand up during COVID.
The king or the oligarch. That's your choices. Those aren't fucking choices. Again, the false binary. This idea that it's either this guy or that guy. You're like, they both fucking suck.
Have you been practicing your Trump impression? That was pretty good.
What's funny is the Trump impression, and you're not going to get this reference, but the Trump impression is very close to the Janet Yellen impression. The Janet Yellen impression is the Treasury Secretary who used to be the Federal Reserve chair or chief, and she's like, we're never gonna have another recession ever again in our lives, and you're like, you have no idea how economics works. Okay, 90s. You're on this. Oh, you want to talk about Geneva?
Geneva, because everybody who's listening, however many of you are there, you have to know that it is all smoke screens for what's happening.
What is it?
For the Geneva Treaty.
Yeah, the World
Pandemic
Health Organization Pandemic Treaty.
WHO.
Yeah.
Pandemic Treaty.
Which does what?
And they're in the middle of trying to, what is it? They're trying to solidify exactly what's going to be in it, right? Oh. And they're trying to make it so that the WHO can decide what makes a pandemic, when the pandemic happens. And Biden, who has already said...
Wait. Or if the pandemic is imminent or possible.
Oh, yes, imminent or possible. And just so you know, climate change fits so far under their problem or under their pandemic. Like, you can fit climate change into their pandemic.
Seriously, it sucks being the person who's walked outside the cave. I don't think I've looked at the sun. Okay, I haven't seen the sun yet. She might be closer to seeing the sun. I haven't seen the sun yet. All right, I've walked outside the cave. I see the forms. I see the stuff. I walk back inside the cave. People spout all this shit, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, literally, it's all in writing. I mean, Alex Jones is a crazy son of a bitch, but he will tell you the truth when it comes to the fact that
we didn't learn this from Alex Jones either.
Write out their intentions on paper. All you have to do is read them and accept them for what they are. They want to create a pandemic treaty that says if one is occurring or if it's possible.
Climate change sits in that.
That then they are going to enact public health measures.
If for all countries that sign on.
And every country that signs on will be expected to comply 100% with all of those measures.
And their measures do not meet our measures of
climate change.
Sovereignty.
Meets the definition of a potential pandemic. They've already said it. And they've already run test cases for central bank digital currencies that are tied to carbon credits that are aimed at supposedly combating climate change. Dude, fucking 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. And 3 is the fucking gulag.
And you have to remember, when COVID came around, WHO fucked up big time. The countries that followed them had the worst situations.
Are you talking about their performance?
Yeah, what they did for COVID. Yeah. They pushed all the wrong shit. And
maybe we should move to Sweden. Sweden freaking kicked ass during COVID. And everyone shit on them right at the very beginning of it. And at the end, all the numbers show that Sweden ended up better than most of the industrial.
But so they were talking about this treaty, and they're
the best part is like everyone's like, oh, everyone's gonna die in Sweden. All the old people, they're allowing their kids to go to school. That's ridiculous. 2 years later, Sweden's like, yeah, our kids suffered no learning deficits, and then in America, they're like, yeah, our kids are retarded. Yeah. Like, that's literally what happened. 2 years later, Sweden's like, yeah, all good. Us kids drooling, not knowing how to read or write or anything like that, and just like having watched YouTube.
Our kids have more emotional issues now. Yeah.
No, literally, like standardized tests, like retarded. So anyway, keep going.
You're totally off topic. So the pandemic treaty, and they're gonna sign. They're gonna finalize it, and Biden has already said he's going to sign it, which means he's giving away our personal freedoms to someone who can do trade issues with us, right? Like, can change the fight. And the whole thing is insane. And if you follow Ron Johnson, he's the one who's been talking a lot about it. Dell's been talking about it. Dr. McCullough has been talking about it. Like, people are trying to get the information, but no one fucking knows about it. Like, I don't understand.
I don't either. One, they don't care.
Or they're like, it won't matter.
Or two,
it doesn't matter.
Or two, the filters, meaning the people carrying the puppets that create the shadows, the filters that they follow, the wall that they're looking at, doesn't include that as even something that's happening. And they'll find out about it after 5-10 years down the road.
And all of a sudden we have a new pandemic, but we don't have any sovereignty in our country to decide what we do.
Bird flu or something like that. And they'd be like, well, we signed this treaty, so we have to go buy it. And people are like, well, I guess we signed the treaty, so we have to. That's what I'm seeing on the wall. So that's
the
what we gotta
people who skirted by not the mandates were not fully mandated, but that would be something that might come across, right? That's what they're talking about this week. Like, how far do the mandates go? Can you mandate every man, woman, and child? Like, people, these are our rights as human beings that are being run by the WHO. Yeah. And Biden's willing to any president of the United States should never be even considering signing the rights of their citizens away to something like the World Health Organization.
Take this as a commentary on also the dynamic of the presidential election season we're supposed to go into. Trump wouldn't sign it, and everyone wants to herald him as the most amazing, forthright person on the face of the planet. But the reason why Trump wouldn't sign it is because he doesn't want anyone else calling the shots. He's got all the good ideas. He wants to call the shots. So he's not about to sign a treaty where
Well, he didn't
doesn't
like
get
that
to,
China was so involved with WHO.
China. He wants to be he wants to be the grand poobah, and he wants to call all the shots. So now you might want to
He's
call.
very old looking.
You
now.
might want to say that like they're both old looking. They're both
well,
like freaking Methuselah.
Well, no, but
He
taking its toll.
You could say that, oh well, he actually has some sense of sovereignty or whatever, but he doesn't have sense of sovereignty for you. He has sense of sovereignty for himself, right? And so he's looking out for number one, and that's what he's doing. And so he's basically saying, I don't want my hands tied by this other organization. I want to be able to do whatever I want. I mean, yeah, that's like maybe the lesser of two evils.
He got us out of WHO.
But again, false binary. Your thinking is that it's either one or the other. If I had my druthers, and I could make,
I'm pretty sure though, I'm pretty sure on this issue, Kennedy wouldn't do neither.
If I could wave my magic wand, okay, I would say that 90% of the voting public should stay home on election night. They shouldn't watch the voting coverage, and then every day for the next 4 years, when they come out with new pieces of legislation and all this other stuff, and people are like, you have to do this, you don't have to do that, the people are like, nah, I didn't vote for your ass. I'm just not going to listen to it. That would be nirvana. That's people who walk out the cave and they see reality. Because the people that are walking with the little puppets, they're going, well, you got to vote for one of us. And they're like, no, just walk outside the cave.
It is very strange voting that it's like 51-49. That's like a really strange thing that I've come to realize lately.
Pure democracy is tyranny of the majority.
But yeah, so my big problem with Trump, I don't even pay attention because I didn't vote. but my
Good
problem,
job.
like I can't stand Biden. I can't understand how anyone could think that he was. I can't stand Trump either. But in the end, I could never vote for Trump because he can't walk back the fact that his vaccine is killing people. Like, he had the option to be a human being.
Operation Warp
right?
Speed was the greatest.
He
thing
had
ever.
the option to. He could have come out. He was in such intense, like, scrutiny and everything going. I think that probably, he had so many people on top of him. He didn't even I don't even think he knew what was going on. He had the opportunity to sit there, and I think even Alex Jones talked about it, to sit and say, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
How fucking human is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, people's lives have been lost, but it's not like, I mean,
but
it would have been better to come out and say, I made a mistake.
Also understand that the people that are his most ardent supporters don't care. This is something that also has to be understood about politics.
I could never vote for him because of that.
You have to understand this about politics. People do not vote based off of policies or logic, okay? The reason why politics is called a popularity contest for ugly people, because that's exactly what it is.
Mm.
It is just, if you can put forward an image that's less ugly than the other guy, that's who they're going to vote for. That's what it is. You could be selling anything. That's how a fucking Hitler comes in power. That's how you get a Mao or Lenin or all these other people. These power structures are based off of people buying in, at least at the beginning. They have to pass at the beginning. And so how they pass is by being more charismatic than the other schmuck, right? And so that's it. So if Trump can be more charismatic than Biden can, the vast majority of people are going to vote for him.
You said that it's going to be, I think it's rigged too. I think it's going to be rigged for
Biden. I don't think the Democrats can allow Trump to win. If
agree.
they allow Trump to win this election, this is now we have tinfoil hat. I wish I had my tinfoil hat.
I wish
this is tinfoil hat time. The Democrats
for y'all who stayed.
The Democrats cannot. This is late night ungovernable. The Democrats can't allow Trump to win because it would destroy the images on the wall. The images that they've selected and curated for people to look at on the wall. If they allow Trump to win, they've told everyone he is Hitler. He's a criminal. Now he's a 34-time convicted felon. He's awful. He's transphobic and anti-trans and racist, and he hates everyone, right? Like, he's the most awful person on the face of the planet. If he won, it would destroy every single narrative that they have created. They've
definitely created a very angry man.
I don't.
He looks angry.
No, I don't think Trump is angry. I don't think so. I think
he
he
looks
is
angry to me.
there's probably a chip on his shoulder that he doesn't let people see in public. But for the most part, I think right now, look,
you don't want him angry.
I don't think there's ever going to be a time at which Trump is not driven by his ego. I think he is a very egocentric person. Everyone wants to say he's this forthright kind of individual. I don't think so. I think he's completely driven by ego. I can't see how anyone involved in politics nowadays, or for that matter ever, is driven by anything other than ego.
Thomas Massey?
No,
Ron Johnson?
even him, because somewhere deep down, he'll probably even tell you that, somewhere deep down, he wants to be remembered. He wants his legacy to be this, that, or the other thing, right?
I'm sure there's
I'll give Thomas Massey credit. One time I had an exchange with him on Twitter before it turned into X, and Thomas Massey put something out there, and I basically responded to him, and I was like, Representative, I appreciate 95% of what comes out your mouth, but what would make me more than happy would be for your job, along with all the rest of the jobs in Washington, D.C., to be outmoded. And he was like, me too. So to that extent, I'd be, I am appreciative of Massey that he's upfront that way.
I think people get into
But he is the minority of the minority of the minority.
I think a lot of people get into politics in a good space. I don't think Trump did. I don't know what he did.
I don't think so at all.
No, people get into it. They start by going, okay, I want to do something good.
No, I think
not everyone.
No, I think the vast majority of people that get started in politics that end up still continuing to try and do good things, they never progress, because they're not about domination. They're not about winning. They're about doing good things within the community. Doing good things within the community doesn't get you elected to higher office. It just doesn't. Well,
and then top of it, just to think of, I just had a thought now, just the idea that our school systems are what are teaching our kids,
mm-hmm.
and and the languages that these bills and stuff come out in, the idea that what you have to read through hundreds of papers and it's all in this speak, right?
Wait, what do you mean you have to read through it?
Well, if
the people that vote on it don't even read through it.
No, but I'm saying if you wanted to go, it's through lawyer speak.
No one reads the bills.
I just say no anyways. I'm like, no. When I see it on the ballot, I'm like, no.
Yeah, that should be the default. It should always be no.
I'm sure sometimes they throw a question in where the no is supposed to be a yes. That shit that fucks you up in high school.
Oh,
reverse psychology.
I'll tell you what. This should radicalize everyone. If you've ever had, what do they call it when they put those stupid questions at the end of the ballot?
Oh, I don't know what they're called, but yeah, those questions.
It's not like a referendum. It's like
that's what I'm talking about.
When they put it like a ballot initiative or something like that at the end, those questions, and it's should XYZ money be used for this or whatever, right? But they always put it in this double speak, where it's double or triple negatives and all this stuff. And so it's meant to confuse people. I don't think you could ever look at this thing, the way these things are worded, and not understand. Now,
the gas tax one I had to read 100 times.
But hold on. That's one level of just evil, okay? There's a second level of evil, and the second level of evil is basically just outright lying. The gas tax one was this.
Yeah, they don't tell you what the other option.
The gas tax one seemed very straightforward. So here in New Jersey, we pay more per mile of roadway for construction and maintenance than we pay double what the next closest state pays. Okay. And it's a cacophony of different things. It's decades of awful deals, pension funds and contracts and stuff like that. It's prevailing wage contracts. It's there's a cartel basically of 3 companies that runs all of the large scale, asphalt jobs. If there are any small companies, these companies are basically run by the mob. So the small companies get the job, and then the mob shows up and goes, you owe us 10% because we allowed you to have it, right? So there's that dynamic. There's nepotism. There's corruption. There's all kinds of things, right? So we pay more per mile of road than anywhere in the entire country, probably anywhere in the world.
We did get to have The Sopranos filmed here.
So, yeah, that's fantastic. So anyway, the ballot initiative was because the transportation fund at the state level was running out of money. All right. And they had to build more. We're going to build the roads. Right. And so how are we going to build and maintain roads? There'll be potholes all over the place. Newsflash, there's potholes all over the place anyway, right? But so there's a ballot initiative where they were going to increase the gas tax. And then in increasing the gas tax, there was some debate about how the money was going to be used. So then what they tell you is, okay, the question says, should this increase in revenue from the gas tax be used solely for the transportation fund, right? So a rational human being,
yeah, of course.
A rational human being would be like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I don't want you using it on pet projects elsewhere or in the general fund or this, that, and the other thing, or for whatever, awareness for this group or whatever. I want you to use it just for the roads. So yes, I'm going to vote for that.
You had to vote no, though. I remember.
This is the evilest shit I've ever heard of in my entire life. They asked you that question because it was their intention, and this was not included in the question. Their intention was to take the revenue that was generated from the gas tax and borrow against it. They were going to use it as collateral and borrow against it 10x in order to fill the gap in the transportation fund.
They didn't tell you all that, but you had to look through you had to look it up outside of the ballot. You had to look it up other places to find it.
And so they essentially had already earmarked this money, and they were just asking the public for the go-ahead to borrow money off of their backs, not just increase taxes, but increase taxes. And then it would be like increasing like the limit on your credit card and then using it as collateral to borrow 10 other fucking credit cards off of it. And that's what they did. And so people voted yes because it made sense. Oh, that's logical. Yeah, it's fine.
And they have to raise the gas tax again, don't they? Didn't I just see that?
I mean, with all due respect, like politicians got tarred and feathered back in the 1770s for doing stuff like this.
Oh, they say that it's not the gas tax they're raising. Now they have to raise the sales tax because they feel bad about raising the gas tax. I think it was something like that. I read something. It was crazy.
Yeah, but they're not going to drop the gas tax.
No, they're not. They were supposed to.
They felt bad about raising the gas tax. So now they have to raise the sale. Gee, thanks. I appreciate that. I feel much better.
Well, you should say something nice before we go today because I want to be in a better mood.
This is a very black-pilled kind of episode. We started with the white pill. I mean, soul art's absolutely fantastic.
You should say something nice about the world.
About the world?
Yeah, something.
No, I mean, if you take yourself away from what's fake that's being paraded in front of you and focus, like for instance, if all of those people that are stuck looking at the wall could free their necks, and obviously Plato didn't afford for this, but if they could free their necks and just look at each other.
What about if they just close their eyes?
Like they would see a world which is much more real. Like if they could actually see each other, as opposed to the caricatures of each other that get paraded in front of them.
Oh, I like that. Instead of the caricatures of each other, because those are just the shadows. They're not dimensional, right?
Yeah, I mean they're not even able to see really each other. They're able to just see kind of the depictions of their fellow man on the wall. If they could actually see each other, right? And part of that starts with your family. So whatever you consider your family, the people that are closest to you that you love.
It all comes down to judgment and blame and fear and doubt.
Well, and accountability.
We just need to let go of
this is the other element of this, and maybe this is the white pill. At the end of the day, a lot of this boils down to a lack of personal accountability on the part of most people. They're willing to defer, whether it be moral authority or personal responsibility for what happens in their life and their outcomes. And if they consider themselves a victim of circumstance, then they're essentially abdicating personal authority and personal accountability. If you embrace personal accountability and personal moral authority, and do not look to laws to determine what, I'm not telling you to break laws, but what I'm telling you is that just because something is legal doesn't make it moral. And just because something is illegal doesn't mean it's immoral. Okay? Look to yourself in your own personal abilities, your personal insights, and your personal viewpoint, and actually ask yourself, what can I do, like, to make my life better, to make life better for the people immediately around me? That's the answer. It's not fighting to protect the images on the wall. It's fighting to protect the person next to you, right?
Well, that's part about 2027 too.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's really, at the end of the day, if it all falls away, like, also ask yourself this: tomorrow, if there was no TV, there was no Netflix, there was no Disney Channel, there was no internet, there was no social media,
grid
there
goes
was
down.
right, like, literally EMP hits the world, and all the electronics in the world, and all the news stations and everything like that, it all fades away, and all that noise goes away. Where are you going to find your community? Well, it's going to be your family. It's going to be the people that live immediately around you. You should probably act like that today, as opposed to waiting for it to happen.
Oh my God, you never told the long grass story.
Oh.
You should end with that.
No, but that's not a white pill kind of thing.
It should be a question that we end on.
No, it's not.
It should be the question.
I don't even want to give the question. I know the answer. If someone has long grass and you call the cops, you're a piece of shit.
It wasn't us.
That's the answer.
Although it could have been us.
That's the answer. Shut the fuck up, Karen, and do not call the cops. That's the answer.
Dude, so many people say,
no,
call
you
the cops,
don't. No,
call the
you
health
don't
department.
No.
Call the authorities.
No, you knock on the door like a fucking human being, and you're like, "Hey, what's going on with the grass? Can I help you?
But
You
what if
having
they were
problems?"
like, "I don't want to mow it"? What would you do?
Then
If
it's
they were
their property. Then you shut the fuck up.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
I mean, like, unless it's encroaching on your like, if they have a toxic waste spill and it's encroaching in your property.
People had a raccoon in their grass.
Then yeah, you gotta.
They had a raccoon nest.
They had a raccoon nest?
There was raccoons.
Are they anti the environment?
I said
Do they not like wildlife?
What I said was the earth was probably happy having a little longer grass in that.
These
part
people.
Of it.
This is the stupidity.
Do you know how many times on all these like
Hold on.
social media sites you can find people complaining about other people's lawns?
Real talk right now. No. There's people that take pictures of other people's kids like dicks, and then freaking publish that shit all over those posts and be like, this kid on Halloween did this and this kid on Halloween did that.
Oh, I've seen that.
They took too much candy. Well, then you shouldn't have left the bowl out. All right. So anyway, this is the nature of this. Okay. These people said, oh, my kids play near their lawn and there's raccoons that live in the lawn
feet.
and the raccoons are going to bite them. Bitch, them raccoons don't care about your kids. They run away from your kids. They're not going to attack your kids. Okay? This ridiculousness.
You got the...
I got the manic Trump hands. Okay? Lady, those raccoons don't care about your kids. They're more afraid of your mutant little freaking mongoloid kids than your kids should be afraid of them. Okay? They run away from your kids. It's just an excuse to be a freaking Karen, defer to authority, to then exert your will on someone else to get them to mow their lawn.
There was another one today about someone who had dogs that bark and how they have the right to a quiet day. It was even during the day. And she's like, I know my town has noise ordinances from 7 p.m. to 10 a.m. or something like, or 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. And she's like, is there any way I can get something done before that? Because I have the right to a quiet neighborhood.
Yeah, well, no, you don't.
Like,
no, you don't. And two, nothing is to stop you from walking the 100 yards or whatever it is across the street and be like, hey, I'm trying to get work done. Like, your dog's really loud. Could you just like bring him in? And most normal human beings will be like, oh,
do you know what?
Sure,
oh my
sorry.
God. Do you know what people commented for this? They all said not to go over to the house to talk to them, to get this little laser gun that shoots like really high pitched sound at the dog to stop them from barking. She said the neighbor will never know, but it'll stop the dog from barking.
Well,
that's where we're at, people. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. Like, I can't stand these neighbor sites. I listen, I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong with people?
Granted, some people live in a part of the country where they're like, what are you even talking about? Like, I go talk to my neighbor all the time. Dude, we live in white middle-class suburbia in New Jersey. People do not talk to each other.
Well, we talk to some people.
No,
we talk to people.
A lot of it's just surface. Like, it's just like, hey, how's it going? Like, saw you the other day, whatever. Yeah, that's great. It's not like go hang out. It's not like bring each other a pie and stuff like that. It's all very
Pie.
and
Are we in
the
the South?
yeah, people like pie. I mean, Midwest, and sure they like pie on the West Coast. But so all of the things that are like, you know, the caring kind of actions, I get the sense that people don't do it because they actually care. I think they do it out of sense of like social convention and like
No, you're supposed to do it.
mechanics, right? Like, oh, well, I'm expected to do it, so that's why I'm going to do it, which is almost kind of a dick move in itself.
Well, we have new neighbors that we still haven't even really. I don't know.
I went over, said hi. They haven't come over to say hi to us, but
No.
anyway,
We do have long grass and barky dogs. You know, when people post anonymously, I'm always in my head going, "Is it us?"
You're gonna be really embarrassed the day the cops show up. I'm gonna be like, "Get the fuck out of here!"
No.
Am I breaking a
We
law?
don't do bad.
Then no.
Our dogs don't ever go out at night barking. And
they're
that when we were on vacation, the lady who watched our dog let one of our little ones bark all day long.
No, the little dog barks all the time if we put him out. So we only put him out for a couple hours at a time. But if someone came over and they were like a normal human being,
someone for long grass,
and they were like, "Hey, like I have a Zoom call or whatever, could you just not put them out like during these hours?"
Take them in.
We'd be like, "Yeah, we'll take them in. Don't worry. Sorry, I totally understand." Right? But
absolutely,
if you go call the cops, it is the
call animal control.
It is animal, dude. That's
and you're getting a dog taken away from a family.
This is literally the equivalent.
They're like, I want my
quiet.
Of
people freaking blowing the whistle on like Jews being hidden from the Nazis. Like, this is the equivalent.
You can't say the barking dog is the Jews hidden from the Nazis.
No, it's a very short, like, how many serial killers like create abuses against animals and then become serial killers? It's like, it's interjoined, right? If you're willing to call the cops on your, it's the Milgram experiment. If you're willing to call the cops on your neighbors without even talking to them about a dog or grass or garbage or whatever it is, right? You're probably willing to then call the cops on them because they didn't get their COVID shots or they violated their 6-foot distance requirement or they
I am glad
posted something inflammatory on social media.
So
right?
we have neighbors though that will call us if someone has a problem. So we're very lucky. We have neighbors that'll call us, but it's actually we have the good neighbors that call us from other neighbors who don't know us, and they're like, "Hey."
We have
a
you gotta have a glue guy, okay? In every basketball team, you gotta have that glue guy, right? Like the glue guy holds everyone together, right? We're good with our glue guy. Yeah, the glue guy's good.
They go through them.
Yeah.
All right, we have a baby to get to sleep. It is way late for.
This is interesting. Usually, I'm the one who calls.
I know, but it's like we got to get a baby to sleep.
It is.
My goodness.
Holy shit, we went 2 hours.
See, you weren't watching.
Dude,
we ended on long grass.
Yeah.
Worked out well.
Dude, we covered so much. Had a good time. Hopefully you did too. If you made it this far into the video,
I haven't eaten dinner yet.
We appreciate the hell out of you. Oh, I could totally.
I had chana masala and rice.
Nosh on something. Yeah, if you made it this far, we totally appreciate your time, attention, and energy. Help us out a little bit with the algorithm. If you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe and hit the like or the upvote or the share. And yeah, we'll be back.
What's coming next week?
We'll be back Sunday.
Wait, is next week the paranormal guy?
Ooh, hold on. Wait.
Next week the paranormal guy?
Let me pull this up really quickly. If the
or is it
share drive will actually work for me.
Who is it?
Yeah. So next week we have on Sunday night, it is Kristen Him. And she was a public schooling teacher who converted to being not even a homeschooling mama, but an unschooling mama.
Oh, and then it's
which, by the way, the other day, Cernovich, who was like this, like, right wing kind of influencer guy that Malice likes for some reason. I guess he likes kind of him being inflammatory. Was essentially saying that unschoolers are going to ruin it for all the homeschoolers that are out there, like the religious, conservative homeschoolers.
Because they don't do anything.
He never got back to me, but I responded. I was like,
idea.
How are unschoolers going to ruin homeschooling? Like, short of some government bureaucrat getting involved because they're in the pocket of the unions, how does How does someone ruin homeschool?
Well, because they do it at their own pace and their own style.
No,
They're not giving into curriculum. Like a lot of homeschoolers who are Catholic use like that. What's that curriculum?
Oh, what? I don't know.
They all use a lot of the same one.
No, there's a couple of them. Like there's like
one
there's the
of
Oak
them
School,
use.
Middle Oaks, the Oak School.
No,
or
I
whatever.
like the Oak one. Classical conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Classical conversation.
Yeah.
Something like that.
So anyway, our guest next week does not use that curriculum, or at least we don't think she does.
I thought we were going to do a panel for unschooling.
No. So that's a specific one, and in fact, we actually have another guest that we might try and line up who was a nurse. I believe she got fired for not taking the COVID vaccine. So,
Balls.
Yeah, definitely ballsy. And then after that, we got Mark Hughes coming up, talking about portals and Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and all that kind of stuff.
Bermuda Triangle of New Jersey.
Yeah, the Pine Barrens. And then after that, we have hopefully the reschedule for Drew Cook.
I'm going to be so sad if he doesn't. I didn't talk to him about the Pine Barrens Bermuda Triangle thing, but if he doesn't know about it, I'm going to feel disappointed. Because now I expect him to be the.
You've set a certain level of expectations. Let's see if he's able to fulfill them.
All right, I have to pee.
All right. Have a very good evening, everyone. We will see you next
in
Sunday.
less than a week.
Peace.
Shackle your mind, it's time to redefine. You're the spiritual quest, leaving the rest behind. Ungovernable, breaking through the status quo. We untamable, watch our spirit elevating consciousness. Yeah, we on the rise. No system can hold us down. We're reaching new heights, breaking through the chains, breaking through the wall. Ungovernable energy, watch the empire fall.